Welcome to What's in a Game. On today's show, night one is done. Who showed up and who failed to perform? We're breaking down the Nuggets season opener against the Golden State Warriors. Who showed up and who owes Aaron Gordon a drink? Then we overreact to game ones and give our predictions for Western Conference standings. Stay tuned. Welcome back to What's in a Game. I'm Grace Jean here with my co-host Will Jones. How are you doing today on this fine Friday, Will? How's the weather over there in Denver, by the way? 'Cause I know it's been like pretty stormy.
Yeah,
the last
it's
few weeks.
it's good. It's fall weather now.
Mhm.
It's getting a little cooler, which is nice because it had been kind of hot. But there were a couple like stormy days for sure. But Nuggets are back. I was excited for real regular season basketball and to get the preseason over, but that was a pretty tough loss, I will say. It did not leave me in a good mood.
Yeah, it's interesting these games, right? Because I go into last night's game and I'm like, I have pretty low expectations for it because it's like it's on the road, it's the first game. Like we know they looked good in preseason, but we know there's still going to be stuff to shake out. Plus, the Warriors looked pretty good in their actual season openers. This was their second game of the season.
Right.
And they were going to be coming. That was on the road. They got to come back home, and Chase Center is a tough place to play. All that stuff. Then they go up, and I'm like, all right, we better win this game. And then AG goes off, like it's just like for a career high, for like a near NBA high, league high for the season. And your expectation is like, you guys really need to win this game. But I will say, like, throughout the game, I'm watching it, by the way, start at least live late because the Thunder played right before this one played the Pacers. That went to double overtime. So it didn't start up on ESPN where I was watching until after that game was over. But from the point on that I was watching live, I was just like, not liking this defense. And I never felt comfortable, even when they were up like 14, whatever. But, that doesn't mean much because I almost never feel comfortable with this
Right.
game, right? Yeah, but expectations change as the game goes on. But if you told me like, okay, they lost a close game to the Warriors on game one on the road, and they're like kind of weird, it's not that bad in terms of the like in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah. Well, let's do our intro and then we can talk about
Yeah, we'll get
broad
into the
strokes.
actual game. A couple programming notes. Will and I are planning to do shows about once a week until probably the end of November. There may be some variance depending on game scheduling and our schedules and things like that. But you guys can generally look out for us Thursdays and Wednesdays. Obviously, today is a Friday because the Nuggets played yesterday. Had their first game yesterday. But generally look out for us on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We'll still put out announcements on the YouTube page and whatever, and obviously videos will be available for playback. Please do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. Really helps us out with the algorithm as we try and grow the channel. All right, well, let's get into our first news item. Our big news item, really, because it's been a relatively quiet NBA news cycle over the last few weeks, besides obviously all the extensions that come on the last day of the rookie extension deadline, including Christian Braun getting extended for a 5-year, $125 million contract, according to his agent, Bill Duffy, who told Shams that. My first reaction to this was like, all right, that's a number, whatever. I'm just kind of glad that this whole process is over. What was your initial reaction to this, and like, how are you mulling over the whole CB extension talks thing that we've been, revisiting probably too many times this summer?
Yeah, my first reaction was glad it's over as well because I didn't want to have to debate it all season, especially weighing it against CB's actual performance. But now it's like we are on the flip side of that where we know what the number is, and now there's an expectation for his play. And if he had the game he had last night, which we'll get into, that opens up the door for more criticism from fans and saying, I knew we shouldn't have been paid this much. And so now I have to deal with that. So I kind of forgot about that. But I am glad that he signed to the team. The number is what it is. It wasn't 30 million a year, which I think was like the bigger like nightmare scenario. So depending on how you felt about what the number should be, you'll feel differently. But I thought it kind of threaded a needle of like getting him a little bit more than he maybe deserves, but not so expensive that it's like disastrous for the Nuggets. So it's not like the perfect deal for anybody in that scenario, which is kind of weird.
No. I totally get that. That was definitely my reaction too. I felt like neither side is like fully, like totally satisfied. And that's how you know that it's about fair. I was pretty adamant that my sweet spot for Christian was right around 23 million, and anything below that was like, oh, what a deal. Anything above that is like, okay, we're creeping into like Nuggets are starting to lose, quote unquote, the negotiation here. I will say I was open to a 5-year deal, but only if they got that annual number down, because they are in a tight spot with the aprons, and like with Josh Kroenke totally not being scared of the second apron and all that stuff, right? So if it was a 5-year deal, I definitely would have preferred it to be on the like 22, 23 million side. The fact that it wasn't is pretty, like, that's the disappointing. That's where I'm like, if anybody lost a negotiation here, I think it was Denver. But, if Christian outplays that contract, that's a really good number. I still, like, at this number, I still would have preferred it just be a 4-year deal, just because you never know when you might need to like move somebody and all that. And honestly, Christian, if you're going to outplay that contract, even like slightly, you want to re-enter free agency sooner, right?
Yeah,
so
if you are him, yeah.
There's kind of like I don't know who wins with the 5th year here, but unless if Christian is like terrible, right? Obviously he won with that 5th year. But I'd like to think that a player doesn't think that they're bad. So it that's a whole thing. I don't think that he should have gotten more than Jabari Smith Jr. either, in terms of like the comps that we were going over. And I think our last show we talked about the Keegan Murray extension. Is that right? Or had that already happened when we did our last show? And that was like too much, but it was also like, it makes sense for Sacramento because they have nothing going on in their lives. Like they don't have any cap concerns or whatever, and they can't like risk, ruining the relationship with like their only promising player, like their only player that has like upside from here with what they've got right now. So that's just a different situation, just for anybody that's like, well, it was a total steal because look what Keegan Murray got, and Christian's better than Keegan Murray. And I'm like, I don't know about that. He had a down year, and we talked about that. Do I like the deal? No. Is it a terrible deal? No. Right. I saw Nate Duncan over from the Dunked On podcast called it another.
Pissing me off.
He called it another example of quote profligate spending by Denver, and I just completely disagree with that. I don't like, this is not, again, not how I would have wanted the contract structured, either years or number, slightly, right? But this is hardly an example of like terrible overspending. This was not like the MPJ extension, for example. This was not, giving player options to guys that you had no intention of keeping, longer term kind of thing. What I will say, I think, is the like fair representation of this is Denver is playing from behind because they have not great contracts on their books, Zeke. And they do have some guys that are like, wish we could have squeezed a little bit more here. Probably Jamal. Everybody thinks that. But, didn't happen. So they are playing from behind. And what you can say is that this did not help them catch up. But I would hardly call this an example of profligate spending. I feel like that was on his word of the day calendar. Anyway, it's a good word. I like the word. I don't like the use of the word here.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to say about the extension before we get into the actual game? We'll have plenty to say about Christian Braun's actual play.
Yeah, let's get to the game and some general thoughts first, just before we get to specific plays and players, I guess.
So the Denver Nuggets lose to the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco at the Chase Center, 20 minutes away from me, by the way. 137 to 131 in overtime, by the way, right? What was the story of this loss for you? Not the positives, because we will get to the positives. I want to end on the positives. But like, what were the big negatives that stood out to you in this game?
The defense for sure was tough, but it's a hard one because of some expectations and some just issues with Christian Braun specifically, and us not having a KCP type player to guard Steph. So that's always going to be an issue. Like these types of small guard matchups were a problem for us last year. And we definitely didn't sign any point of attack defender like KCP to mitigate that, which is part of the reason why, we were excited about the signings, but that was still something we weren't getting. So I was interested to see how that was going to go. CT's hinting at it now, putting CB and Yoke into action repeatedly. Some of it was CB's, inexperience. Some of it was Jokic being out of position or just like a weird coverage on certain actions that I didn't understand why he was there. So we'll get all that and we'll look at clips. But so it was that, the defense, and then also just Jokic not really having it on offense. And then the entire offense being really out of sync in the third quarter specifically. And then like a comedy of errors at the very end in clutch time where it was like missed easy shot, turnover,
it was
fouling Steph.
Errors every time this team was in transition. It was like the 23-24 season in transition all over again, where you're just like, oh my God, please slow down again in the half court because you're about to turn the ball over when you're in transition. Right?
Yeah.
Nibble says Steph Curry outscored our entire team. We gave Jokic rest in the non-Jokic minutes, and he didn't do anything. He didn't lead us home. Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, Jokic was probably the biggest disappointment in this game. And obviously, when he has a bad game, he's going to be the biggest disappointment because of what his average and what his ceiling is, right? But like, that dude looked exhausted out there. The transition defense, like you mentioned, defense in general, but transition defense was a problem for the whole team. But Jokic in particular looked really slow. And like Denver's never like a great transition defense outside of 23-24 when KCP was like robbed of all defense and was like maybe the best transition defense player in the NBA. He took 13 threes in this game. Which I didn't even like. I was like, man, you're just taking a lot of threes, but I wasn't really thinking too much of it. Wasn't until I saw the box score after the game that I was like, whoa, that's 65% of his shots.
Yeah.
And I don't like, I've seen people like, actually very few people, because I think a lot of people have been more like Nuggets fans have been more critical of this, but I've seen a few people say, well, you know what? This is a great shot. Jokic spot up 3. He's a 40% 3-point shooter, after one season, by the way. And he's a hesitant 3-point shooter. Even when he takes a shot, he's hesitating on him. So it's a great shot, and he should always take those. He took more threes than Steph Curry last night. And I'm just not okay with that. I didn't think that, and I think that that's a conditioning stat, frankly. Right? Regardless of what you think of, like, oh, was this the best shot or not? Jokic doesn't take 13 threes every game, right? That shot is always available. I think it was,
I don't remember the exact stat, but people were tweeting about how, like where that amount of threes stood in, Jokic's most, 3-point volume games from like even last season. It was one of the higher ones already.
For sure. And I'd love to know what Denver's record is when Jokic takes like 11 or more threes. It's usually not good usually you think like when he, like last season, when he was doing games like those, like, the paint's packed, and like, Golden State kind of packed the paint, but also their tallest guy is 6'8".
Yeah.
Right. The other team's packing the paint, or like nobody else has it offensively. That was not what was happening in this game. I thought Jokic decided to settle for the pop on a lot of these situations. If you could bring up the slow on shots clip, because I think this one was one from overtime that really stood out to me. Was this overtime? Yeah. So they go into 2-man game. Jokic starts to roll. scram switch Steph. He gets a step on, is that Jonathan Kuminga? And then Kuminga is able to block Jokic's shot
Yeah,
here.
that was so upsetting to me. Like, come on.
I was
Could
just
not
like,
be blocked by Kuminga, man. When it's like, this is...
a lot of people were like, oh, they don't care about CB. So, like, that was the problem on this play because they could easily scram switch Steph. And, like, sure. But, like, Jamal gets Jokic the ball in the middle of the floor with Jonathan Kuminga on him. He not only blocks the shot, I don't even know if Jokic was, like, I think that was a shot attempt and you could have just given it to AG. It was just, like, really, it was a weird game for Jokic, which I've seen that take a lot. But I almost worry that it wasn't weird enough. As in, like, this might be the norm for a few games until he gets into shape.
Yeah. I went back and looked at all of Jokic's threes, obviously, because I think a lot of people were perplexed at why the volume was where it was. What was the deal? Were they actually physically stopping him from getting in the paint? What were they doing defensively? I mean, obviously, teams are always going to try to shrink the floor against Jokic and not want to let him inside and leave shooters open. But I didn't see too much that convinced me that he couldn't have done more. The Nuggets couldn't have done more to get him in. I think so. Now the out of shape talks coming back to the forefront, which we can get into as well. But I mean, two shots were like, or one shot was like an end of quarter three that was, you know, whatever, one of those shots that you don't really get mad about. And then there was 2 3-point attempts kind of in, I guess you could say, garbage time at the end of overtime, where there was like obvious the game was over and we weren't going to win. But that's still 10 threes, like in a normal flow of the offense where he was kind of open, and he didn't necessarily need to settle. And I did see his comment last night in your tweet where he was saying he was happy with the shots, which is fine. But I wish he was more aware of, like, we don't need that.
Yeah. No. Here's the thing is, whether Jokic is aware of, like, I know I was lazy tonight or whatever, that's what I expect his answer to be, right? Yeah. Guys are never going to say, like, yeah, I took the wrong shots and, like, I tanked the team. Like, especially Jokic, he's just going to be like, well, we just missed shots. He'll say that about himself. He'll say that about anybody on the team, right? So that's why my tweet was like, this is the answer I expected. That doesn't mean I like it. Like, I don't like the answer, even if what he's saying is a lie, because he's like, I just missed shots. But sometimes, you know, like, yeah, I was like out of rhythm and like I didn't love our process. But yeah, I'm not a fan of a game where Jokic ends up taking 13 threes for a variety of reasons. Oh, Gifted Hoops in the chat. And everybody go check out his channel as well. Warriors fan.
What a game for you Warriors fans, and that Steph 3 to tie the game. My God.
Yeah, I was telling Gifted last night, like, I actually had a few of my Warriors fan friends that were just like, why is Aaron Gordon killing us? And I'm like, guys, don't worry. The Nuggets defense is going to win you this game.
Yeah. And just real quick, because I want to show a couple Jokic threes.
Yeah, go ahead.
But before that, I just want to say, I felt like, I mean, obviously the Nuggets are not playing to what we expected them to be just on paper with this roster yet. And that is, you know, a lot to do with Cam being new and other players as well. I just felt like the mistakes the Nuggets were making were a lot more costly than the ones that the Warriors were making. Like the Warriors
the mistakes the Nuggets made were Steph Curry 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And it's like, you know, the Warriors obviously left AG open
and
a lot.
Layups, by the way, too. Like, especially in that first half, I was like, guys, and the third quarter, honestly, it was just a layup line for the Golden State Warriors, whose tallest guy is 6'8". Quentin Post wasn't in the rotation last night, I don't think. Let me double check. Oh, he did play 4 minutes in this game. Yeah, they...
Yeah. And it's just like, if you have Steph Curry, his 3-point shot making can make up for a lot of mistakes. And I felt, you know, they sometimes left people open for 3 on the Nuggets, and that's sometimes a strategy by other teams. So it's like they try to live with that for sure.
Often a strategy. I mean, here's the thing: is the Warriors were like, no way, Aaron Gordon shoots 90% from 3. And if I were like going into this game, be like, yeah, no way, Aaron Gordon shoots 90% from 3, and he did. honestly, the Warriors should have won this more comfortably, even if AG has like a 60% from three
I know.
shooting
Just
night,
look at
right?
what AG had to do. Look at what AG had to do to keep us in the game. Like, that's crazy. But all right,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to look at a couple Jokic threes. Like, I mean, even I don't know if Draymond just knew at some point that Jokic didn't have the shot, or if he was like
Or if he was,
tired,
like,
or who, or what. But like, oops, sorry. There was a this play where Jokic is just left open and Draymond just doesn't even care, just lets him shoot it, and it's a miss, an easy
guards him
rebound.
like Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah, so it's like, I get that Jokic has to take that shot, but
That wasn't even one of the ones that like totally bothered me, even though it was like he intentionally pops on. Was that Christian who was handling on that possession? Actually,
Yeah.
can we play the beginning of that? Because I remember that one, and I didn't like how unintentional Christian was on that drive.
Yeah, sure.
Because I felt like he could have gotten. Yeah, this was the one. I felt like he could have gotten like to the rim.
Yeah, it's a bad place to kind of just pull up
And
your
he was just like,
dribble.
well, I'm just here. I'm just pulling in defenders so that Jokic can shoot this three. Like, part of the utility of a stretch big is that they could at least attract some of, like, even if they don't fully close out on Jokic, they create enough space for that driver to get downhill. And I felt like Christian was just like, my goal here is to get the ball back to Jokic, even though he's popping and creating what I thought was still like a good amount of space for him. Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him some grace on this particular possession, because when you get downhill and you see Draymond Green there, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't challenge Draymond Green at the rim. Maybe I should get the ball to the wide open best player on my team, right? But I felt like it was just a confluence of things. And this possession actually came at a moment in the game where I was just like, man, the execution is just not sharp. Everybody's a little bit sloppy. Everybody's a little bit unintentional with their actions, with their movements. Like, they're having trouble getting open because they're not like cutting hard enough. They're not driving hard enough, all of this stuff. And this, I felt like, was just, part of that sort of melange that the whole team was in this. That was during the third quarter of this game.
Yeah, and I thought the closeouts on Jokic were interesting. I felt like Al Horford, and the example that I have here was Kuminga, I believe, where a lot of the times players would not fully close out. They'd almost do like a little stutter step, like halfway, because I'm pretty sure,
Because
they
it
know.
forces Jokic to like think about it for a second.
Yeah. And they know Jokic can drive. They know he likes to pump fake and drive, and I think we can
So they
generate a lot of better looks.
Like, look at where
that.
Kuminga is. This is Kuminga, right? Right in front of him. This is like, Jokic isn't, like, he could get downhill on him, I guess, but not in his current state because of like where his conditioning is right now, honestly.
Yeah. And Al Horford did the same thing on almost every closeout. There weren't a lot of really like tight contests on Jokic threes in this game, which is almost crazy to think because he shot so well last season. We haven't even had regular season games to show that his 3-point is dipping. And the Warriors kind of like took that bet, and it paid off.
This is why I keep saying the 3-point shot is there to punish. It is not going to change the way that teams guard Jokic. And it's not because he can't do what he did last season and shoot 50% from three. It's because they are terrified of what happens when he gets into the paint. Not just with what he can do with his own shot, although he didn't have a great, game in terms of the paint touch tonight, but because of what he can do with his playmaking. It's like, well, it's that much worse for us when he gets in the paint that, yeah, we're going to live with that regardless of the outcome. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So, you talked about the closeout. So anything else that you wanted to say about Jokic before we get to the wings?
I mean, just that he wasn't himself. Like, I mean, he had a triple-double, and he's always a player where even his bad games are still pretty good, and you would take that stat line from a lot of players. But when you're the best in the world, and we need you to be Jokic, the MVP and Finals MVP, and he just needed a couple of those floaters or like hook shots to go in to really seal the game, and he missed them. It was pretty heartbreaking to see. And in terms of him being in shape, I haven't said anything too definitively about that, especially during Eurobasket, because I didn't necessarily know the situation. I mean, Jokic sometimes looks out of shape, and he is in shape, and he has an insane motor, and I trust Jokic because he's one of the most reliable players in the league. But even though he definitely looks bigger
He
than
is
some other seasons for sure.
for sure.
I just didn't know if that would affect him or not. Sometimes he likes being big, but it seems like what we
That's
can
not
glean
like
from
in
watching
retrospect,
him.
all of that talk sounds like cope.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm just trying not to
No,
come to
not from you, from
conclusions.
like Ogie, and I think
Oh yeah,
maybe Jokic too. Guys
right.
have given
Or
various interviews where
Adelman.
they
Yeah.
address this directly, and I'm like, I don't think he wants to be this much bigger. Right,
Yeah. So I mean,
right.
this seems like something that's becoming a legit issue possibly, and he's gonna maybe play himself into the season and try and get in shape. But if this is true, and he is gonna take some time to get in shape and be the Jokic that we want him to be, and Jamal comes into the season in shape, and we finally give him depth, and he just kind of like coasted into the season, it's definitely frustrating because I would like to have started the season off really strong. This is only one game. It's a loss on the road to the Warriors, who look a lot better than I thought they were going to be. So that's one side of it. But even Steph said after the game last night, the Warriors are emphasizing making a really strong start. I think the Nuggets are trying to
Yeah.
do that too.
I mean, every team
So it's
does
going to
that,
happen.
right? Like, he
Yeah.
wants every team wants a strong start, except like the Jazz,
But
I guess. Even though
if
they had a strong start, and we'll talk about.
Yeah. I just wonder what Jokic's like mindset is and what he's thinking. If he's thinking, I'm always hurt and banged up around playoffs, so why am I going to exert myself every single game throughout the season when I know we'll probably make the playoffs? Like, I'm not saying that's his mindset, but if he is thinking about coming in on a slower start, I just wonder why he would be in that zone. But
Yeah.
hopefully that was just
Jokic
kind of like a fluke game.
Jokic is 30 now. And I actually had this tweet. It was in reference to myself a few days ago, more so. But it was something like, turning 30 is crazy. I'm not 30 yet, but I'm almost 30, and I'm very much feeling it these days. Turning 30 is crazy because all of that stuff that you used to do in terms of exercise that was just like, oh, I want to get a little bit more toned here, or I want to lose a few pounds here and there. All that stuff you used to do as like cherries on top become must do maintenance like overnight, right? And I can't imagine what that's like for a center, right? A bit who's already a big dude, you know? And I can't I can't, but I am going to speculate a little bit on how potentially difficult that could be. It's like, okay, I can't actually do full season, deep-ish playoff run, Eurobasket, get in shape and be like in shape to start the season and have enough rest. It's just too much on my body, but also I can't have the same like maybe habits that I used to in the off season, because we know like during the season like Jokic is pretty like buttoned up with from all the accounts anyway, buttoned up with like diet and what he's doing like pre-post games workout wise. But like the off season, as we've been talking about for years now with Jamal Murray, is like really important for setting yourself up going into the season. And so, I guess everybody has their internal struggles that they're dealing with. Let's move on to a couple of the wings that also did. I actually want to start with Bruce Brown because I think that discussion will be pretty short. I saw some criticism of Bruce Brown, like, I'm not noticing Bruce tonight, this, that, and the other. Like, is he washed? And like,
What?
honestly, going back to 2023, I don't think like a lot of people remember what Bruce was like on that team. Like, he's there to be like an energy guy off the
Hmm.
bench, right? And he'll make big plays here and there, but he's not someone that's going to be like, oh my God, getting you 10 points off the bench, like night to night, like 10, 15 points off the bench, like that kind of, especially not on this team where the offense is a bit more spread out, um, relative to even 2023. I thought that he looked pretty good tonight. Early on, he was getting cooked a bit defensively, but I don't know. He brought energy, he got rebounds, and he didn't look terrible. And there were players that looked terrible, right? So I didn't really have anything else to say on Bruce, but I wanted to bring him up just in case you did.
I just had
Like
I thought he had, like you said, good energy, and he was active on defense and trying to be in passing lanes and things of that nature. And he did get some steals, but a lot of them were just almost steals.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm actually disappointed because this clip was supposed to be the assist from Jamal to Val when he kind of did the wraparound dump off pass and Val got the layup. But for some reason, this was the clip on NBA.com. So I don't have that clip for later. But, you know, like this was just an example where Bruce can intercept the pass playing kind of like free safety, but he just never could.
He's got such a good sense for this off-ball defense. He just couldn't, corral the ball there. But
and then there were times where he did that and like tipped it, and you know he ran, you know, out because he was running to get the ball, and that gave up a Warriors open three. And I'm like, of course that would give them an open three. But
I actually thought that Bruce should have closed this game over Cam or Christian, like either of them, honestly, because those are the two that struggled, and we're about to talk about now. Like struggled like a ton outside of Jokic. Like I think if you were going to put the game on like a group of players, it's like Jokic 1 and then I think Christian 2, because like we're going to talk about it. And
that would be an insane decision by Adelman to do that in the first game of the season, like take Christian Braun out, who just got his extension and is the starter, to not close the game. But in retrospect, you kind of agree, like he might have done better in that spot just to close down the game.
No, I was literally like, honestly, just get Cam off the floor.
We just got a question from the chat about this. Like, do you think Admin would bench CB for someone? I think it will take time. I mean, Malone even said, you know, you can't just like go away from a guy and like get, you know, tear down his confidence if you don't show that you trust him. So I think Admin will keep playing him for a bit. It may take some time and like seeing this over and over again before he would bench him in a closing situation. But he did say last season when he took over that he'd be more willing to do that. I don't know.
People say a lot of things, Will. But ultimately, like politics, like, you know, reign supreme in this league.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Christian. I thought he was getting all kinds of cooked by Steph Curry. Going back through the film in this game, like I was like, man, Steph had such a good night. And I knew there were like specific plays where Christian was on him a lot, like most of the time, because Christian was the primary on him. But Christian was getting absolutely abused by Steph Curry last night. And it was just, it was a real problem for him, not only to keep up with Steph. It's not like Christian struggles with small guards, but Steph is like a different kind of small guard because of how good he is at beating his matchup off the ball, right? Like that's his whole game. Well, we'll see about that, Jermaine. I thought that before we get to the defense, I thought that on Christian's offense, like he looked completely out of sorts in this game. I just thought Golden State did a good job of just like get in front of Christian when he's in transition. When he has the ball, when he's about to get the ball, just make sure somebody's in front of him. And then he can't like get his fast break points. And then he was just, after that, he was rendered completely ineffective on offense. He had that weird turnover in transition too. And I was like, on that one, I'm like, you're like under the basket, buddy. Either you go up for that layup or you kick out to the corner there. But he like, I don't know, like bounced the ball off his thigh. He looked completely lost in this game.
The Warriors transition D was really good. I thought like they were getting back, and I mean they sometimes left AG open for three on the transition,
like,
which whatever.
That's the thing. It's like they're small. They know the margins that they need to win, so they're like, we have to be a good transition.
And the Nuggets did emphasize running last season, especially with CB. We don't have Russ to do that now, but the Warriors were really good at getting back and not letting CB get anything easy when he was trying to finish at the rim, which isn't typical. Usually we see him finishing at a high rate, but
right, like OKC I thought did a good job with their transition defense in the playoffs, and Christian was still getting those points. Like he was still like creating those opportunities, right?
And he had like an early slip pass where they were overplaying a Jamal action, and then it allowed him to kind of slip to the rim and got that dunk. But then after that, he kind of got nothing and couldn't get in a rhythm at all.
I have to double check here. What did he? finish with, because the thing with Christian is like you could be really mad at his defense some games, and I was for many games last season, but then you look up and I'm like, when did he get 19 points? He was just getting all kinds of, he just like produces, right? He finished with 6 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 turnovers. So yeah, like not a great game. 5 personal fouls, including that. Was there only one 3-shot foul on Steph by Christian?
I'm not
One
sure.
that was late in the fourth quarter. When Denver was still up, and I was just like, try not to make mistakes. And yeah. Vyacheslav says the Warriors did a good job closing angles for CB's cutting. I'll have to rewatch that on the film. I hate rewatching losses, but I will for this one because I do think that this game was instructive of not the way that the Nuggets are going to be for the rest of the season necessarily, but where the big gaps are, where the room for improvement really lies. And honestly, like for a first test of like a very new group, like we have so many new players on this team and they're playing differently on both ends of the floor, trying to to some degree or another, how much, you can quibble about how much you think the offense has actually changed. But yeah, it's like, okay, your first test is the Golden State Warriors. Go ahead. It's like, okay, you actually played them pretty close, and because AG went nuclear, but that's still impressive too. Like that's going to be a story that we get to in a bit. It's not that bad. All right, let's get to Steph's shots because we got to talk about this defense. Could you bring up the off-screen shot first? Obviously, Steph takes a lot of shots off screens, right? This is just like a basic one. Steph like running CB around 2 screens off the ball, and Christian is completely, shed on that one. If we could rewind on that possession, if Christian's going to be run through 2 screens here, like one thing I didn't understand throughout this game is why we weren't switching more with these off-ball screens. Because usually when we play the Warriors, we switch basically everything off the ball, because the whole goal is like, my God, do not let Steph get these wide open shots. And this was not even one where Jokic was like brought into the action. Like, why is Jamal playing drop? Like, I'm very confused as to what was going on here. I don't know if this was just a blown coverage, miscommunication, like whatever. Very first possession of the game.
Yeah, very first possession.
Like,
so
that was the story of the game.
If you're coming in with the game plan of like CB's going to lock and trail Steph all game, you're not going to like default to the switch on the first one. Like, okay, yeah, you got screen on that one and got beat. But Jamal, like you were right there. Could you not have just stepped up and contested it?
Yeah, step up or like give Christian a chance to recover at least, right? Like, I don't care if Pajemski is cutting. Like what are we guarding against here, right? Yeah, Vyacheslav, that was on Jamal. He had a clear picture. Yeah, exactly. There were lots of times here where I'm like, yeah, Christian has no chance of getting over the screen, but also the guy who has the opportunity to potentially switch there or at least like show is not. And like, yeah, blatant failure there. Gifted says, how do you think the Nuggets did with targeting cross matches offensively yesterday? I mean, I think that they did a pretty good job of that because Denver does it in a variety of ways. It's not just like get a mismatch, get a one-on-one. It's get a mismatch, force the scram switch. Like we talked about it with the scram switch on that possession in overtime. It's like even if you're scram switching because you're ignoring Christian in the corner, that gives an opportunity and a window for Jamal to get Jokic the ball in the middle of the floor. And that should be a terrifying, thing for a team. He happens to miss that shot, happens to miss the pass to AG on that possession, but that's good offense, right? But I thought generally they did a really good job of that. Basically in the same ways that they attacked the Clippers in the playoffs, where it was like, Harden, Steph, like whatever, we're like, we don't care who's on you, we're bringing you into the action somehow, some way. Okay, let's get to the transition shot here for Steph shots. So this was just an example of like, oh, it's just Steph Curry in transition. We're all good here. Steph was really good about getting downhill in this game. I will say like that was impressive from him. Obviously he's going to have some misses. He's a smaller guard, but I also thought he had some pretty impressive makes and really was good about reading the defender early in the drive so that he could get as far downhill as he could. got to that floater too, which was just like there was that one floater that he made in the second half on the right side that was like, wow, I can't believe that went in. That was actually like okay defense and like forced like Steph to take a tough angle and he still made it, you know. This dude, how old is he now? What? Is it
Yeah, I don't
37?
know.
Doesn't look like it. All right, let's go to the not face guarded. I thought that Christian made a lot of just like technical blunders here while guarding Steph. Like you're guarding Steph Curry off the ball. This is like a big just like difference between KCP and like Christian at this stage in his career. If KCP is guarding Steph here, he's not worried about anything else going on in that possession, unless it's about getting Steph the ball, which this happened to be. But the whole point is hugging up on Steph Curry so that you make it as difficult as possible for him to get the ball in the first place. And if he gets it, like be right there. But Christian is like, I got to stay vigilant and play like good off ball. It's like following normal principles, except you're playing the Golden State Warriors. And that was just not, you know, what needs to happen here. And then I don't even think this was like a particularly great screen from Draymond. Like it was a fine screen, but it's not like he didn't clear out Christian there. Christian was
But
just
also,
like slow getting around it.
I think this is why having Jimmy Butler is pretty big for the Warriors, because he's on Jamal, and it's like Jamal wasn't horrible defensively. I know it's a question with Jamal always, and you know Jokic is coming over super loading up on this matchup and not guarding Draymond, which is something that can happen. But when you're not guarding Draymond and he's the guy that's always going to be setting up Curry, like now you're just in this huge drop. So Jokic already like way out of position in my opinion. And then it's like, that's an easy just pull up three for Steph. And that's part of the reason why, you know, CB wasn't so great at navigating and putting himself in position to navigate the screen. But then, you know, Jokic wasn't helping him at all either.
Right. That's a good point that you make though, because Jokic was sinking so far in because he's helping on Jimmy. We had Cam and AG there too, and you've got Jokic there. That's like even more reason for Christian to be like, I am on you. Like,
yeah, and that ball can be swung over there.
But like white on rice stuff.
Just because you're on the weak side doesn't mean you should be relaxing.
I don't think that. Okay, Steph doesn't have a slow release, but I wouldn't classify his release as quick. Relatively. It seems like it for him because he's able to generate so much space off the ball. All right, let's go to more off ball here. All right, what's going on this possession? So this is just like Steph is just here around, setting random screens. Christian's like, he just relaxed, I felt like here. This wasn't even like a 3. I just felt like Christian was just very lackadaisical about this. But Christian needs to understand when you're guarding Steph Curry, if you are guarding Steph Curry fully, you are guarding the Warriors off. He's expecting Steph to like pop out to 3 here and very casually tries to follow him. And then Steph changes direction.
Little back cut.
Honestly, here I just switch AG onto Steph and then let Christian take Jimmy. Like there was a lot of opportunities throughout this game where I'm like, this is a switch in previous years. So I'm not sure how much of this was like, I don't think this is blown coverages because there were so many possessions where they're not switching any of these off-ball actions. I think this is just what the game plan was, and I think that was a bad call for this.
It just shows why it's so hard to stay with Curry for the entire game. Like you can do good some of the time, but at some point you're going to get screened or you're going to get back cut, and Steph is going to get a bucket. But you got to really like it does take complete focus for an entire game.
Steph had 42.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, let's get to the layup. This one was just like a Christian versus small quick guard. Like this was really tough from Steph, but I also was just kind of like, I don't think that he should have been able to get that deep.
I mean, on
Christian, but he got like, this was Steph like really playing the angles well and like playing his defender well, right? He's not always like this, I guess, spry at every point in the season. But Christian was clearly taken off guard, or he was. Is that the phrase? Taken off. You took me off guard. Is that?
I guess it is a phrase. I mean,
I
he
have
was like
Friday brain. Forgive me.
he was more or less staying in front of him on that possession too, and like that was like technically a tough shot. So I was like, man, Christian definitely did better than I would expect there for a quick guard, but Steph just made the shot, an amazing shot. But yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the one on Jamal, and this was the one at the end of regulation that basically sent it to overtime. Um yeah, if we could just read that. That was so quick. We got to play that one more time. So Jamal's guarding Steph up at half court, and for some reason we're like, why is Jokic in the paint? You're up 3.
Yeah, again, he's not in position at all. Like, I mean, I know
This
that
is just like really, there was a lot of bad, like, everyone's like, oh my God, our personnel sucks. I'm like, guys, the situational defense here was just really, really poor in this game.
and I think Draymond knows when Jokic is really far away from me, this is going to be an easy
Yeah.
handoff to Steph for a 3, and he
Easy.
can pull up from anywhere.
I also thought, like, Jamal, buddy, just foul him. Like, you're up 3. What are we doing here?
Well, yeah.
Like if he has even a chance
There's
to get
not even
by
a shot. They were under the shot clock too, I think, or maybe it was very close to being. I guess there was 1 second
It
discrepancy.
was like 1 second left, but whatever. Like, yeah, just please foul him. I thought there were so many times where there's also like in this game in particular when I'm like, you guys are on fire, especially with AG. Foul Steph on that possession. Warriors got in the bonus pretty early in this game too. There was a lot of like Jimmy, but also Steph. Like Steph was getting the free throw line, not just on like the 3-shot foul or whatever, but on some of the downhill attempts. Just foul him and just let them have 2 points and keep it moving. This is like a thing. I saw Ryan Blackburn, friend of the show, by the way, and Ryan's doing such great work over at Mile High Sports and Locked On. I've really enjoyed his articles over this offseason and his season preview stuff. But he was talking about how the Nuggets are like not good basically at any of the defensive 4 factors, so they have to be good at defending without fouling. I just think that's not true. I think that when this team isn't fouling, they're not defending. They were really bad about fouling in the year that they finished top 8 in defense. Because they were trying, because they were like, no, you're not getting anything easy in the paint. They were fouling a little bit harder too. Like now when fouls are called on them, it's like, oh, it's an and one, right? This was the case last season as well. It's like, I'm tired of the soft stuff, right? Like this team needs to get it together. It's not just a matter of personnel. It's just like, they're not quite there with the execution or like, I think like the focus.
Yeah. A lot of stupid like and one fouls and fouls on threes. Like, yeah, that's part of why I was saying the mistakes we were making too were just like stupid mistakes like that. Yeah.
Right. All right, let's go to more abuse is what I labeled this one. Let's see. Yeah, this is just, yeah. I mean, this is a good play by Steph. You basically have Christian have to run through, like, just catches him completely off guard. Has to run like past Jokic almost, and then Al Horford sets a good screen. And again, Jokic is like, what's going on here?
He didn't even move.
Yeah.
It was a rough game. Rough game. Like, we should have somewhat of an advantage on the Warriors because we're supposed to be bigger and we have a big paint presence. But yeah, defensively, it's kind of
didn't act like it on either end of the floor.
And I think the Warriors are better than I expected from that standpoint too. Like with Jimmy and and Al Horford, just like that gives them a little more size and spacing and them able to like play the game that they want. So they definitely look better than I thought. So we'll get to that with our standings
because they
predictions.
had that like the off season from hell. But actually it was just like a delay. And then
that's why I wasn't giving them bad grades. I was like, they're gonna sign Horford, they're gonna sign Melton. Melton didn't play last night, but I was like, if they do these signings, I don't know when he's back.
Yeah.
If Gifted's
he got injured like the beginning of last season. So I guess it's not surprising that he's not back. Bill Wagner's not back from his ACL either. He got injured like a month later too. So All right, and then the last clip I have here is just like they gave up. So like the Warriors go up 6 in overtime, and then people are jogging back. Jokic is like barely walking back on this
Yeah.
possession in overtime here after
Yeah.
they miss a shot, and then it's just like,
Yeah, they waved the white flag there for sure.
which like this was weird to me because there's so many times I'm watching this team late in a game and then the other team goes up too much and it's like, okay, it's too late, but they're still like trying. And that annoys me. But this annoyed me more as I learned last night. This was like out of character. They were very much out of gas. And yeah, like, I don't know, down 6 with 30 seconds left. Like, yeah, anything could happen. But it didn't. And they were like, nothing's going to happen here. And they just gave up. Especially Jokic. Like, Jokic was the last one back there, even though he was like the furthest up the court. Because I think he missed a 3.
Yeah, he did.
And then was walking back. He's the last one back, which was really, frustrating game from him for sure. So a lot of that was on Christian guarding Steph because he was on Steph, but I don't know why we should have been switching more. Like, I get the lock and trail thing, but like, all right, let's.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of adjustments the Nuggets would have to make if, this was the playoff matchup or something, like, because that was not it.
That was not it. I thought Cam, like, still missing shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he looked a little lost on offense. Like, this was another, like, I know the Warriors are a good defense, but I just felt like he looked really out of sorts, like discombobulated when he had the ball. There was like this one possession, I think it was in overtime when Steph, he's just getting the ball at the high post to initiate an action. I don't know if the Nuggets were in horns or whatever. I didn't include this clip. And then Steph just gets a steal on him because he doesn't get, like, he's, Cam is skinny, but like so is Steph, right? So he doesn't get a good steal, and then it was just a seal, and then it was just an easy steal for Steph there. Other instances when he gets the ball with an advantage and is like, I look like a member of the OKC Thunder against his own or something, so that's, he's still getting used to things and whatever. I'm giving all these players, like the new guys especially, they're getting a lot of grace from me. Pun
grace
not intended,
from Grace.
I don't have a better word for it.
And
you're going to get a lot
of goodwill from
forgiveness.
Me.
Yeah. Grace.
But
we should have a segment where we're like forgiving people for for things. But yeah, no, he looked totally lost in the offense, and I don't know why. Because otherwise, the offense I thought was clicking in this game. Like, it helped that AG was on fire, but those were all good shots too. They were clearly intentional. We're going to talk about some of those, but like Jamal looked really good, especially in the first half. He was getting good shots in the second half, wasn't making any of them, which was really annoying. Actually, I looked back at the game log, and I felt like Jamal had all his shots in the first half, but he had like 11 points in the first half. Actually, 11 of his 25. So it was actually pretty evenly spread, and like some of that was overtime and stuff, but it felt like he was missing some shots at like crucial moments. But a lot of that was just like the pressure that our defense was putting on our offense because like we could not get stops against the Warriors.
For Cam, the discussion is about how much time he's going to need to kind of fit in more and find himself and find his identity on this team. And he is a versatile player, and it is harder when your role isn't to just be relegated to shooting threes or like standing in the corner. Like,
there was this one transition possession where Cam's like first one back by a mile. And Jokic just like outlets him the ball, but Cam's already running to the corner, and I'm like, brother, runs right open.
Yeah.
So he's running to the corner, and then it's like a weird pass, and then he has to like dribble it out and like reset the offense and do all that thing.
Mm-hmm. The flashes of his abilities still gives me hope, because he can just like when he, drives to the rim or is dribbling or passing, like those flashes are there. And I love that. And he's done some things even last night in a more muted game that I thought MPJ wouldn't have ever done. But obviously, if we had MPJ out there, we'd have more options to be shooting from three and more confident shooting from three than what Cam displayed. And so it'll take some time, but he really does need to get the confidence up. And I said, online that I get that he's going to take time to fit in, but part of the reason I loved that trade in the beginning and wasn't necessarily as sad about trading MPJ was that the fit made so much sense right away. And like a lot of the analysis was like, he's going to come in and be like a seamless fit, like right now. And that's kind of what we need because we want to like get off to a strong start. I don't want him to take half the season to get ready. So I'm a little bit worried, but
I mean, it goes along with everything that he said over the summer. Every time he was asked in an interview or a press conference what his goal was for the season, is like gelling with the team. And he kept saying that. And like, it's almost like like he knew, like it's going to take me a while to like get used to a new system and new guys and like get fully comfortable. I think Adam Myers made this point about how Cam is one of those guys who kind of has to like think something before he can like do it or feel it or whatever. And I'm like the same way. I'm basically paralyzed by, with like being able to do anything until I can like fully like visualize it. And like, yeah, I have no kinesthetic sense though. I'm not a professional athlete. I stub my toe like twice a day on things that have been, here for like a year in the same spot. Yeah, so hopefully Cam finds it soon. It honestly, like, it would help a lot if Jokic was like himself too. And he was definitely not in this game. So, everything gets thrown off for the players that like rely on him for their, rhythm. So you can kind of put some of that on him for both Cam and CB, I think. But let's talk about the real ones here. Actually, first, another negative, I think, was a negative from this game. I want to know what you thought. Maybe it's more neutral. What did you think about DA's performance in this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously people brought up the challenges or lack of challenges that he could have done. He didn't challenge anything, and maybe he could have challenged the charge that Cam took. He was kind of moving his foot, even though he was planted in the spot. His foot was still shifting over, so I don't know if that would have given the refs enough reason not to confirm it, but maybe it was worth just trying it.
On that call, though, by the way, they had 3 timeouts left, and there were 2 minutes and 40 something left in the game. And I think they didn't even use it or lose it timeout. So they end up just losing a timeout anyway. So maybe you're like saving the challenge for later, but it's like, I don't know, how many opportunities are you going to get when the Nuggets are up and this is like a big play and they get free throws to like, encroach further on your lead here. I thought that was a bad like non-challenge there. I thought Cam was like relatively adamant, but it's not like the team like really fought it. I thought they should have.
And like we put Spencer Jones in, which is definitely not a Malone thing, but that was only there for a second.
Spencer Jones led the team in plus minus in like 5 minutes, by the way. I thought he was the only guy playing defense in this game. I didn't really care that Spencer Jones played. Like, I didn't care negatively that he played. He was fine. He didn't do anything but play defense, but that's kind of his MO, right? We're going to talk about the positives, but like the bench was like not losing their minutes in this game. It helped that like Jamal was on fire, especially in that first half, but even in the second half, like they looked pretty good. I thought DA did a good job in the second half. He had AG and Jamal playing with Jonas and the bench. Right. And I thought those minutes looked really good, right? We saw a little bit of them in the preseason.
Probably by some necessity, because what else were they supposed to do? That front court is small and not looking great.
I mean, it's
when AG's not playing.
Yeah, but it's the Warriors. Like, and that was like that was an opportunity to get AG some more shots. He was on fire and he made some more shots in that stretch. So I thought that was a good move by DA, but I didn't like the game plan going into this. I didn't like that we were just like, all right, Christian, you're going to lock and trail because we want to play Jokic and drop against the Warriors. And you're like, maybe the worst screen navigator on the team.
I don't know, maybe.
Like, I mean, actually, but like, honestly,
worse in terms of someone who's gonna be put in a lot of screens, because I'm sure there's worse players. But
okay, yeah. Okay, worse in the rotation. Maybe Tim is worse.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you think? Sorry, I don't mean to like distract from your adamant points, but did you think he should have gone to Julian? Or I
Should
mean, the
Julian
bench was
have
fine enough
played?
that you didn't see that as a huge issue.
I didn't really care either way. Like if Julian had played, maybe he makes some shots, whatever. Our offense wasn't really the issue in this game to me. Even the process, like I know AG made a lot of shots and you're like, well, I don't know if you can rely on that. It's like, well, I don't know. The process was pretty good outside of like, I was kind of annoyed with how much Jokic was popping. And I don't know how much of that is on him versus Adelman, but I suspect that is even if DA wants Jokic to take more threes, I don't know that he wanted Jokic to take 13 threes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Julian not playing was just kind of whatever to me in this game. They decided they needed somebody to play 5 minutes of defense and they threw Spencer Jones out there. Like Julian will probably play on other nights. The Warriors off the matchup has always been a tough one for Julian. So like I don't really blame him for that one. Did you want Julian to play in this game?
No, I just saw that as like a
People
critique,
annoyed with Adelman for not playing
like
the young guy.
why isn't he
thing.
playing Straw there? Like he has the
Yeah.
offensive, abilities, and maybe we needed more shooting in that game. But I didn't necessarily think for a first game we needed to like force that yet. I like Tim Hardaway for the most part. Like we'll talk about him later, but yeah.
But yeah, the game plan I think was the biggest knock on him. Like as much as the challenge thing annoyed me, I didn't like the defensive game plan here. Payton is the only guy I think has a shot at being good at that. At screen navigation, Rayvon?
Yeah, that's what he means.
Oh yeah, guys, check out Rayvon on the
Nuggets
Four Corners Nuggets Corner. Four Corners podcast with Mile High Pete. Vyacheslav, yes. I thought Tim was like what you would want from Tim. He was like whatever in the first half and then like gave you a couple shots late. That's like kind of what you would want from Julian too. So I think that's why they didn't play.
Yeah. I actually I pulled up that 1 3 that he pulled kind of like out of nowhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I thought was just such a cool thing to see from a player off the bench.
Had taken the lead at this point, and then he gave us
the lead back.
And he was just ready to fire. If somebody as uncomfortable as Cam Johnson is with the shots that he's getting, Tim Hardaway Jr. is overly comfortable with the shots that he's getting in this offense right now.
Which is great. Like that's why you got him. Like you're not expecting him to be this amazing role player contributor, but someone come off the bench who can just pull a 3 like that and get us the lead. Like that's an amazing contribution from a minimum signing. And so I was like encouraged by THJ, especially on offense, but I get there's like defensive issues and all that. And that he's like,
and also like offense sometimes depending on like the shots that he's taking. But when they're going down, they're awesome. And honestly, we needed somebody at this point because I think the whole team had gotten a little bit tight. So it was really like Jamal go do something, which is why he started to take more shots in this span, late third quarter, early fourth quarter. He wasn't making any of them, but everybody else had gotten tight, especially Cam, and like Christian was just like already out of sorts all game. So it was nice to just have somebody else that was willing to take a shot. All right, let's talk about the man of the night, Aaron Gordon. The shot is real. Like so real, like unbelievably real.
Man, that was wild.
50 points. He was 10 of 11 from 3. Came about as close as one gets to breaking Ty Lawson's record for consecutive made threes in a Nuggets uniform. He ended up rejecting the game ball at the end of this game. So the teammates were all like offering it to him. He's like, I don't want to take this all home, right? And you know what? Shame on them for ruining this AG game, honestly. But yeah, no, like Aaron Gordon was the best player on the floor tonight. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough. But what did you think of his performance?
Oh man, it was awesome for AG. He's tied with Jokic for me for my favorite Nugget, of course, and it was sad to lose the game because it was such a great game, most efficient 50-point game in the NBA. I saw circling around. So it was. We're always going to remember the game, and we're always going to remember that we lost it. But it was almost so good that while I was sad about that, I almost didn't care that we lost it just because it was such an amazing AG game, and I'm just like so happy for him that he's coming to the season this strong. I hope he keeps it up and has it can make the All-Star team even. I was starting to fantasize about that. But yeah, just heartbreaking to lose when we just needed Cam to hit a couple more shots or Jokic just to hit a couple more shots to really take it home. And it just wasn't there. So coming up short sucks. But yeah, the shot was there. He even bullied some people down in the paint, got some lobs too.
He did
I like
everything.
seeing the lobs.
This wasn't like a game where he's like, oh, AG's only taking jumpers. He was so good defensively, Vyacheslav. I will say, I said Spencer Jones was the only one playing any defense. I thought AG was really good defensively too. It is a shame that we didn't win because I thought he was just incredible. Oh wow, Dahlia, Steph lost his first 50-point game too at MSG. Does that mean that we have 3 more rings in our future? All right, let's get into his actual shots. So the first one, could you bring up the pull up out of pick and roll? I think Christian was the screener on this possession. So he's just like trying to get Steph a mismatch. And what's going on here? Like, why are there 3 guys guarding 2 in the second? They're completely ignoring Jokic. They're like, whatever, like at the 3-point line. Also, Jokic is late getting back. Mm-hmm. So Horford is going to like go like, oh, I should go back to him or whatever. But now he's like in drop anyway. AG's like, okay, I'm going to just, take the shot.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing. I think defensively
I think Gary Payton was like, was I supposed to veer switch on a Jokic there,
yeah.
Al?
Yeah.
Or just like pick him up or whatever?
He hesitated on the closeout and then he fired.
So like you said, the Warriors also made mistakes in this game, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Defensively, for sure. Red and White says AG won't be an all-star if we're not a top 2 seed. That's what I was saying. Everyone's like, AG's making his all-star case. And I'm like, we don't get 2 all-stars if the Nuggets don't win enough games. So
which is such a joke.
They need to figure this out. I mean, that's the West, right? Yeah. Like, you can get 2 all-stars in the East. Maybe, I don't know. Like, actually, I think it's been a while since you got 2 all-stars in the East on a team that didn't make a top 2 seed.
I'd have to think about it. I feel like maybe there was other teams.
Maybe
well, I
like
guess
a 3 seed.
The thing is
the Sixers in 23 because Joel and Harden.
I remember the Jazz being the 1 seed and having like 4 players on the All-Star team, and then the Nuggets are the 1 seed and we have 1.
That's why Mike Conley made.
Yeah. I think he made it too by being a replacement as well, but still.
Yeah, well, that's, Anyway. Yeah, the Nuggets should have had another All-Star that year, but, Jamal had a slow start again. So it would be very ironic that we finally have Jamal in shape to start the season and Jokic is like...
I hope it does not last long and it does not come a thing because that is going to be very ironic and frustrating.
All right, let's do the catch and shoot. So they end up with Christian cuts through, and then AG is the one that's 1 pass away here. I hate the spacing of this alignment, by the way, but AG makes the 3. I just don't like these post ISOs where you have like Christian in the dunker and like Steph completely ignoring Spencer Jones in the look, this lineup is actually insane. AG is the best shooter on the floor by reputation because you've got Jokic, Christian, Spencer Jones, and Peyton Watson around him.
They had everything covered pretty much except for the AG open 3.
Yeah. All right. Then he did some off of relocation, and there were a few of these. I just chose a representative example, but we're running basically the same stuff that we did for MPJ for AG here. Just relocates. Spencer Jones sets this nice flare screen, and Chase shoots completely without hesitation. The Warriors, I think, should just be switching all of these. I guess they don't want to switch pods onto AG, but I mean, what's pods going to do in drop,
Mm-hmm. That was his 7th 3.
Even if AG decided to drive there, what's pods going to do in drop, against Aaron Gordon. And then there was this one off balance. It's not a 3, but I think it's a mid-range fadeaway right here over Buddy Hield's. Completely off balance. And you're like, oh my gosh, they could actually do this if they slow this game down. And oh my gosh, going to the right, that's a tough shot.
Mm-hmm. It's a crazy shot. And he had some pretty bad turnaround jumpers too that weren't close, but I mean, this one was money.
I was shocked when that went in. I was like,
He
well, I guess
really,
this is the team of destiny tonight, but I guess not.
yeah, AG was amazing. I
Yeah,
loved watching him.
yeah.
I hope it's a sign of things to come for him this season. And once Jokic puts it together, him and AG and Murray, who's also looking to be in good form, that three should still make the Nuggets a top tier contender. Like, I'm not panicking after one game, but I get that that game was frustrating. Like, even I was pissed after that game, but I definitely am not as pissed as some in the chat who are very, very upset about Jokic and wanting to trade him. So
But even I was pissed, as in, like, well, you're always mad
I am a
after
chill
loss
person. I'm not ever mad.
ever. um, yeah. So that's all I've got for AG clip wise, but just an incredible game from him. And yeah, shame we wasted it. I hope he has more. I hope he has like many, many more. I actually saw like a lot of, there's like a range of fans in the Nuggets fan base, right? Like some people are more fans of players necessarily than the team and all of that. I saw a very wide swath of Nuggets fandom more mad at Jokic for selling this game of AGs than like maybe any. Like this was like on the level of Jokic's like 60-point triple double against the Wolves, where everyone was like, "How did they sell this like masterpiece kind of thing?" But a lot of people were very like specifically mad at Jokic, including like some Jokic diehards. That was very interesting to see. It kind of like made me think about like, oh wow, has AG actually leaped Jokic in the Nuggets hierarchy of popularity in the fan base now? Not because of this game, but like the reaction to it being, what it is. I think it was
Yeah.
interesting. It was very much like a Jokic and Jamal kind of game. Like, wow, how did his second option like fail him here kind of thing?
AG is just so easy to love. And he has less
Yeah.
pressure, obviously, than
Yeah.
Jokic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's talk about Jamal, who I thought, even though he, had a slower second half, it seemed like in terms of the shot making. I thought he was like really good in this game, actually. He had a really hot first half that turned out to only be 11 points, but they were like very impactful points, especially in those bench minutes. I thought he had some pretty good plays in the second half, though, especially. But the scoring itself wasn't there, especially in that fourth quarter. But the passing was really good. He finished with 25 points, 10 assists, 3 steals. He did have 3 turnovers, but like a 10-3 assist to turnover ratio. Like, I don't know,
Mhm.
nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, two of
All
them
those steals were
were.
like very early in the game, though. They were
Oh,
like in the
yeah, for
first
sure.
quarter.
Yeah, he had like good. Yeah, they were kind of passing it in space and he was able to jump up and intercept it. And I really liked how he looked. And he had like some assists to Val where he just hit him flashing on the nail and Val hit the jumper, which was good, cool to see that Val brings that to the table. And he had the jump off pass that I mentioned earlier. I wanted to show that because that was really like a
Yeah.
cool little play between them and good chemistry between them.
You had a couple notes here
Sure,
about
yeah.
Jamal.
I just thought, last season, some people were complaining about being able to get Jamal open or get him space because he wasn't seeming as shifty or as in shape to kind of create it on his own. So it was like, we have to put him in these screening actions all the time. And this game, it was like, he just didn't even need a screen. Like Cam comes up to
Even just a
screen on
ghost
this.
screen, which
Yeah.
just get the defender slightly off balance and I'll take it from here.
Yeah. Kind of a ghost screen. And Curry's hedging pretty much on this or trying to stay with him. And Gary Payton, moves off of him, but like no one was able to even stay in front of Jamal there. So I thought his speed was a really good sign. But then at the same time, I liked this play where Valanciunas set a screen and Draymond hedged it really aggressively and then was able to jump back and recover back to Val. Jamal didn't use that to drive. And then they just reset. Jamal rejects it again. Draws pod,
wow.
and Draymond.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna pass back to Val, and then
he's just backing. Gives a little hesitate as soon as Draymond kind of steps off. He uses the burst to just get through, and I just thought his burst and his speed and the patience and the decisiveness was something that we've always wanted to see from Jamal, especially last season. So I really liked that he was displaying that even in the first game. So he's continuing a great preseason and starting the season. At least I thought it was a pretty good Jamal game. And yeah, he could have scored more in the second half or like taken over. Like we just needed somebody to take over and take us home. And it could have been AG, it could have been Maul, it could have been Jokic. And it just, even as good as AG was and he was keeping it up, we just needed him or Jokic.
We needed some stops, honestly.
And
like
that too,
was the thing.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't give up those Steph threes and don't foul Steph on a three.
Yeah. I also think, honestly, in that second half, there was like an 8-minute stretch, and he probably went to the bench for part of this, but the first like 8 minutes of the third quarter, like he didn't touch the ball. And then in the last like 3 to 3.5 minutes of the third quarter, DA was like, oh shit, like we gotta because Golden State had caught up, like the lead is gone, and we gotta get Jamal some shots, and he was just missing everything. And I felt like he maybe lost his rhythm a little bit there. A lot of that was like AG was on fire. They were doing some more stuff with Jokic. Cam was like bricking shots, but he was getting shots too in that span. Obviously this is different than like the 23-24 season when Jamal had like career high usage and it was just two-man game, like the whole game. But like I wonder if part of that was like he kind of got out of rhythm a little bit because when he started taking shots again, they didn't look like they were going to go in. And not like the crazy Jamal shots where you're like, there's no way he makes that and then he makes it. It was like, that does not look good. Like I didn't like the way that it looked, that the jump shot looked, on that shot, and then he wasn't making them. So I kind of wonder if that's part of what happened in the second half. But your best players can't be rhythm players, right? I don't allow that. That's for role players. So he needs to be a little bit better in that sense, just be a little bit more consistent throughout the game. If he'd made even one of those, we win in regulation, right? But yeah, I thought he had a really good game overall. This is very encouraging. The bench, like I said, they won their minutes. A lot of that was Jamal in the first half, but in the second half, it was just like, man, the process here just looks like it makes sense finally, because you have a center who can screen and do all this stuff. In the first half, though, I will say the bench was even they weren't getting like totally cooked defensively necessarily either. I need to see how much of those minutes like Steph was playing opposite. I suspect that DA was mostly matching Jokic's minutes to Steph's. Steph only played 36, Jokic played 40, but I think for the most part, if Steph was on the floor, Jokic was there. So I don't know how much of a like test the bench got, but Jimmy Butler was still out there in those minutes. The Jimmy Draymond like high-low stuff continues to be an interesting wrinkle in the Warriors offense that I think they used to great effect, but for the most part, they weren't getting like completely cooked by that in those minutes with Jokic off the floor. So, I was just really impressed with that. That I think actually, if I go to the box score for the game, every bench player did not lose their minutes. I wouldn't say win because Peyton Watson was a zero, but
he was a 0-0-0-0.
I mean, you got 2 rebounds.
I guess he got a block too.
He got a block. Yeah, he did some stuff in the first half. I didn't really notice in the second half. And now that I think about it, I don't know how much he played because of the minutes that AG was playing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like we talked about, like if Payne's going to play a lot of minutes, he's going to play at the 4 a lot, right? But not so much in this game.
I felt so much more confident about P-Watt coming into, in preseason playing some 4, but that game was definitely not convincing.
I didn't have a ton of confidence about him playing the 4. It was just like I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to be good necessarily. Mm-hmm. But like the bench not losing their minutes, and like I do want to emphasize this point because against the Warriors specifically, it's one of the worst matchups for Denver's bench over the since I've been watching the team, so 3 years now. The fact that they won those minutes, not only didn't lose, but like won them, like not convincingly or anything, but like plus 4 in Val's minutes, like you'll freaking take that. The problem was the starters.
Again, yeah. Who knew? Jokic out of shape and the starters are letting us down.
I know.
2 things that you wouldn't expect.
I had a feeling that the starters were just going to be like a little bit weird to start the season. I wasn't sure about I thought the bench minutes would be like okay to slightly bad. I didn't think that starters would be this bad. I thought it'd just be like not this bad, but I mean they lost one game, like whatever. But yeah, they need to get it together. Yes, agreed, Vyacheslav, because I didn't even know what the final plus minuses were in the game. I think in the first half, actually, Val was like a -2, so he was actually
Mm,
better in the second half.
yeah,
Um,
but I liked Val a
yeah,
lot. Like it's just, yeah, maybe he should have played more. Poppin brought that up earlier, but yeah, he does a lot of little things for us that we've just been sorely missing from the bench that are just standard things that you would need from a bench
screen
center
and
and
rebound, screen
screen
and
and
rebound.
rebound. But even that's why I
Yeah,
did clip
bring it
some
up.
assists just because, this isn't
Right.
necessarily something you expect from him. But just to see that he can do it, it was pretty fun to watch. He had this pick and roll in the fourth quarter where
This is a
I
tight
mean,
window pass from Jamal, by the way. Like
yeah, but Jamal is damn good at the pocket pass, and
he
AG's
is.
wide open there. But that was a very
Yes.
like quick pass, and
It was.
it was a big
Sometimes,
moment in the game.
we saw Val try some passes in preseason that were like not off target necessarily, but like, okay, he's trying to lead someone somewhere and they're not there yet, and the pass is like too fast.
Yeah,
um, but from like when the guy's already there, like I remember one to Bruce Cutting in one of the games. It might have been against the Thunder. Um, and I was like, "Oh, that went out of bounds." But in this one with AG already in the corner, like Jonas knew exactly what to do, and he got the ball there, and AG, knocked it down.
yeah.
Um, was
I was
there
gonna
there
bring
was a
up,
second assist you wanted to bring up from Val?
yeah. Just gonna grab it really quick. Here it is, right here. So yeah, just flashing. It's in the second quarter, and this is the Bruce cut, similar to what
Nice.
you were just
Oh,
talking
that's a good
about.
one.
Where
That's a good pocket pass or
yeah,
kind of
that
a
takes a
pocket
lot
pass.
of vision and timing. Kind of reminds me of a little Jokic bounce pass to a cutter, and
Yeah.
Bruce got the layup on it. And I love that chemistry for the bench too, and just a little wrinkle. And not that I'm saying Val has to be the Jokic facsimile like people have been arguing that we should be doing, but I like that Val just brings what he brings, and he's confident in who he is, and he's like a pretty complete player in terms of his offensive game for sure, where he can do a lot of things. And I'm excited for him, and I think every other Nuggets fan was excited about Val.
Yeah. Um, anything else you wanted to say about the bench or other positives from this game?
I don't think so. I think we covered it well. It was just one game. Definitely a tough loss. Ryan and Matt were debating whether it was a good loss or a bad loss, and I was more with Matt on. I thought it was a bad loss just because we had it and we were up, and it was just a sequence of events at the end that I thought it was just it was bad, like with misses and
Matt said it was a
turnovers and
bad
fouls.
loss.
Matt said it was a bad loss, and Ryan said it was a good loss.
That's funny because I'm pretty sure was Matt even picking the Nuggets to win this game? I don't know.
I don't
Anyway,
know. Yeah.
yeah, like it's not a great loss. There's no good losses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't feel great after that game, but hopefully they can win. I mean, like they better beat the Suns in their home opener, or I'm gonna be
Oh,
pissed.
I think we're
Like,
gonna crush them, so I think we'll be okay.
well, I don't know. They just had a pretty big comeback against the Kings the other day.
Ah, damn it.
They were
I'm
getting
having a
crushed.
trouble deciding the bottom of the West standings, by the way. So we're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there. All right, let's move on to our next segment here, fact or fiction. And these way too early overreactions are going to lead into our Western Conference, in particular, standings predictions. But every team has now played uh, their opening night. And I want to start with the East. So I got a couple from the East that I want to get to, and then we can talk about all of these scary teams in the Western Conference. So the Sixers actually won at Boston. But Joel Embiid looked awful in this first game. He had 4.6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was a -16 in 20 minutes of play. He only played 20 minutes, and it's like, if Joel Embiid is only playing 20 minutes, he probably shouldn't be playing at all. Like, he's one of those players where you're just like, if you're not in, the shape to be able to, And I don't mean conditioning. I just mean like he might literally just be like injured.
Mhm.
To be able to play a full game, then you in particular should probably not be playing. Like it's not worth it for that risk. But the Sixers were able to win that game. You had VJ Edgecombe come in 40 points. There's always 40 and 50 point games in this first
I
week.
know.
40 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block. He's gonna have the runway. Do you think he's got a shot at Rookie of the Year after seeing Cooper Flag in Game 1?
I guess so. I mean, Cooper Flag looked kind of scared out there, but I get it because you're playing Wemby, which we'll get to. But
Imagine your welcome to the NBA moment, literally playing a 7'5" guy.
I think that's gonna be like a NBA history moment where, like, let's say Cooper Flag does have a good career, and he, people are gonna ask him, "Remember your first game?" And he's gonna be like, "Yeah, that was the game everyone realized Wemby was gonna destroy everybody."
Yeah. Yeah, but I think VJ Edgecombe, like, he looked really good in this game. He looked really good in the preseason and summer league also, obviously. Like the Sixers keep hitting on all these great, like, dynamic guards, and I'm like, could you give us one of those?
Yeah, that's so true.
Literally, you have Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and now VJ Edgecombe. They don't even want to pay Quentin Grimes. Like that's an embarrassment of riches at that particular position. Do you okay? So here's the Rookie of the Year thing was the first fact or fiction. You think so you think he's got a shot then?
Sure.
Why
not?
Because everybody loves Cooper Flag.
Yeah. I don't think people are too beholden to like the Rookie of the Year has to be this one guy.
That's true.
But yeah.
Can the Sixers make the playoffs even with a bad or injured Joel Embiid?
I think they can. Yes, I feel like also because they've done it before.
I mean, yeah, but that was when they had Harden.
Yeah, but people were mad like when Harden was there. They wanted Maxey to be like unlocked and opened up.
I know. And then he did get unlocked the next year, but it's like, well, the year after you had 20 games of Joel, and then you couldn't make anything, which honestly helped them keep their pick so they could draft VJ Edgecombe and not have to give up that pick to the OKC Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
I do not love Cooper Flag. Vyacheslav, 76ers GM is really good at finding young talents. Other stuff is questionable. I would say the 76ers GM is good at identifying guards. I am highly skeptical of their ability to, or like the way that they value wings or bigs, like forwards generally. That's why that team is usually so small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they've got a shot in this East. Like it would probably be through the play-in still, but like I don't know. Like, are the Sixers going to be worse than the Hornets this year? And I think the Hornets have a shot at like the 10th seed. So why not?
It's definitely possible. It depends on how, like, if Embiid was taken out tomorrow and was going to miss the whole season, then maybe I'd say they don't have a chance. But he's going to be able to play for a while before either something worse happens or who knows.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like the when I said with a bad or injured Embiid, like bad obviously assumes he played. But when I say injured, I'm thinking like if this guy plays 30 games again this year, can they still make the playoffs? And I don't know, but I think they've got a shot.
Yeah, I do too.
Especially if VJ Edgecombe looks like this. And maybe he won't every game. I did see his college film and it's like very up and down. Like he's this very dynamic athlete, but sometimes the shot isn't always like what you want it to be. And he's still a rookie, like still getting up to NBA speed. But he looked really good in his first game. So, you can only really be encouraged if you're a Sixers fan. All right, second storyline of the East here. The Cavs get absolutely smacked by the New York Knicks. Are they in danger of losing the 1 seed in the East? Because I think they were the clear and away favorites after the Celtics lost Tatum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Garland is injured right now, but they looked very vulnerable last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I agree. Vyacheslav was talking about surprise of the Bulls beating the Hawks. I just think it is the East, and there are injuries, but some, like even the Pacers played the Thunder pretty competitively. And I thought, obviously without
I was
Halliburton
impressed.
and such, they were
That
going to
was like a
suck.
really
So
good Pascal Siakam game. I was like, oh, he's making his MVP case right now, just like straight up.
right. So yeah, the East sucks, but there's still some teams that can play competitively, and the Cavs are in the East and can just drop games, right? Like, yeah, the Knicks are a great team, but the Cavs could lose to these other teams out East and every once in a while. And so I think, yeah, they're definitely in danger of the 1 seed, especially with the Knicks existing and other teams and the Magic. And yeah, like Ray brought up the Magic. So yeah.
So you don't think that they win 60 games this year then? Because I don't think the Knicks are going to win 60 games. But if you think the Cavs are in danger, you have to think they're not going to win 60 games, I think. Which they won, what was it, 64 last year? 2020.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're wrong and the Cavs just had a bad game versus the Knicks. And
Yeah,
obviously
64.
it's the Knicks and they get rolling here soon and get that confidence back. But that playoff loss last season was pretty like demoralizing in a way.
It was.
So I don't know if
I
they're
feel like maybe the one against Boston wasn't like demoralizing, but like the one before that was against the Knicks, by the way. Yeah, I do think that team, they are on like a serious ticking timer right now because they are over the second apron and they have had this core together for a few years and they haven't been able to make it very far in the playoffs. Sometimes injuries, but then it's like, well, even with injuries, like, do you really want to get like completely like blasted for like 50 points in a game 6 against the Pacers? Have opportunities in that series and blow them, like it definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth for sure. And it's, I think, tough to like, well, we're just going to believe in this core. Like, we believe in this core and we want to give them like one more chance when the second apron is as restrictive as it is. And I'm trying to think, they don't have any players that are like due for a big contract soon because, oh wait, did Evan Mobley's rookie extension already kick in? That's what I need to know. I think it did. Is it this year's the first year? Yeah, this year's the first year of his rookie extension. He's making $46 million. So that's like the first like pressure year, but otherwise like everyone's already on their 25 or 30% max. So it's not like, oh, like Christian's getting paid like starting next year kind of thing for them. Like they don't have anybody like that. And they do have Lonzo coming off the books next year, potentially. But I do think that they're probably going to want to get under the luxury tax at some point if they're like, okay, we're like a second round exit with like one win per series kind of thing. Because they lost in did they lose in game 5 or game 6? This last time? Because if it was game 6, then it's the furthest that they had gone with this core. Cavs Pacers series playoffs. It was game 5.
Yeah.
We lost
that
at
makes
home?
sense because I did remember that it was like a very disappointing. As good as the Pacers were, they were the darlings of the Eastern playoffs. But yeah, that was not expected. I keep thinking like the Cavs are going to kind of crumble because of like a basketball chemistry thing. And, we were asking questions about
but
Darius,
it's just like this ephemeral thing going on with that team.
Yeah, and I was like, is Mobley not going to develop? Is he going to be weird fit next to Jared Allen?
But they keep getting everything that they need in terms of positive outcomes.
And they play really well, and they are looking really good. And Darius Garland is taking a leap, and it's like, oh, damn, the Cavs, and they're the 1 seed. And then they just are like that cursed team, I guess, still.
I will say to our like basketball point with that team, when you look at the lineup data, those Mobley Allen minutes are still like nowhere near like their best stuff. Like sometimes they're like slightly positive, but you'd expect it to be better for a team that's as good as they are and like as good as other lineups are.
Especially because they're two like pretty skilled bigs who are pretty versatile. I mean, Mobley is more than Allen, but yeah.
I think that team is vulnerable, and I think we could see some, big changes by the end of the season. Maybe they're feeling that pressure. Like that's another aspect to all of this as well, especially with all the stuff with Donovan in years past. To be fair, Garland gets injured and they lost to the Pacers, who were awesome. That's great, Rekoslav. I completely agree. But like the way you lose to the Pacers is like I think that matters. I think it matters that you blow 2 late leads at home as the higher seed, even with injuries. You were good enough to get those leads, even with injuries too. And
Hmm.
then you lose at home in a game 5, like, uh, with all your guys, but Garland probably shouldn't have played in that game, because he was clearly still injured. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they look when he gets back. Very interesting team. All right, let's go on to the West, the best conference. Um, the Clippers lost to the Jazz on opening night, and like I know the Nuggets did too in their title year. They got absolutely blasted by the Jazz in Utah in 2022. Um, but they had their second best player coming off of a year without basketball, or like a year and a half without basketball. The Clippers had everybody healthy in this game, and they were just like not about it. So, fact or fiction, the Clippers are way worse than everybody thought they were.
I have no idea what to think about that weird outcome. I didn't watch the game.
They were
I
down
was just like,
30
what
at
the
half.
fuck? Yeah, that was bizarre. I don't know if it's these legal things like really distracted Kawhi, and he's stressed about it and not showing up to games. I'm still gonna say it's fiction. Maybe they just were like, oh, it's the Jazz, they suck, and didn't take it as seriously. Who probably is going to be a little bit better than people were expecting. And yeah, weird offseason for Kawhi. I'm just gonna say fiction. They're still gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the Clippers are going to make the playoffs because James
Yeah.
Harden always makes the playoffs. Like, literally, he's never missed the playoffs. That's just like water is wet. But I will say this was to me, not like if I were a Clippers fan, I'd be disappointed in this game, obviously. But especially starting last year, um, the Clippers, and like even the year before, when they had Kawhi healthy for like 69 games, that team was doing a much better job of not having these games where they just like take the night off and like, psh, whatever, like we don't care. Because that was the character of the Clippers before the last 2 years, before they, got a little bit more serious. And last year they changed their personnel up a little bit. Paul George is there no more. They're really, really defensively oriented. And even though they lost games, they even lost blowouts, but it was rarely because guys were just like, we don't care about this game. Like, we're just trying to make the playoffs. We're not trying to get like a top seed, whatever. They started to get a lot more serious about, the seeding. And Ty Lue was very explicit about that 2 preseasons ago. So this would be a disappointing loss in that respect, because you're like, there was literally no excuse in this game besides, it's Utah, it's altitude. It is altitude there too. But having just like all the guys not show up like this is, concerning. You want to lose game to Utah if you have champions hope. If you had Koslav, like I said, I thought the Nuggets, one, like Denver has like terrible Utah luck. 2, Jamal was coming off of ACL rehab, and Mike hadn't been in the rotation for a year either. So, like,
that was
the
a
Clippers have new
disastrous
guys,
loss.
but they also looked good in the preseason. They looked really good in the preseason.
Yeah, they played us. Who the Clippers look good?
The Clippers, yeah.
Yeah, this preseason. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like
the fact that they don't show
tough.
up in game 1, it just kind of tells me that they were like, it's the Jazz, like whatever, like we'll like do whatever, and then maybe we'll turn it on late. But we're in Utah, like we're not really going to try. And I don't think that is the mindset that Clippers fans were expecting from the team after the last 2 years.
Yeah, with the additions and going out in the first round.
And the T-shirts that they had printed for themselves in preseason about how there were 2 different ones, because there was don't, and like it was like get the fuck back or something, and it was like each letter was something that went wrong in the Nuggets series. It was all very, very much but like all of that for them to lay a complete and total egg on night 1 is not great.
I love it. It's perfect Clippers.
Yeah, it is actually like such a Clippers loss.
Yeah.
Um, I say fiction too. I think they're still going to be a top 4 seed. We'll see where they fall when I do my standings predictions.
I know we're not going to get to this, but Vyacheslav says, let's go with SGA getting 40 free throws in 2 games. Fs. I mean, they were both 2 double overtime games. So even as
Yeah,
myself, who's an SGA hater, like I get why that number is so high. But
the high
yeah,
number.
there's been some bad plays
Yeah,
by
he's just driving
him.
into
But
nowhere. I think he's
yeah.
already like really tired of the season. I need more. I need more double overtime games for the OKC Thunder as they try to defend their title
Mhm.
this season. You know, it's not so fun being the hunted, is it? Although
Nope.
maybe it is. Maybe they're having lots of fun with all these double overtime games because they're winning them, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and they had a double overtime game right before the Nuggets had an overtime game. And maybe Pacers fans are watching that one. Like watching Pascal honestly had like an AG level game when you count like both ends of the floor, although like AG was also really good on defense. Pascal was incredible in that game that they played against the Thunder. And on top of like everything he was doing on offense, all the crazy shots that he was making, he took a giant shooting leap too. Like Pascal Siakam's shooting 3-point shooting leap, an overall jump shooting leap has actually been masked a bit by how good AG's has been, but I think his is pretty unprecedented as well. Um, Vyacheslav says there's a situation where he goes to the defender and the ref still calls him. Yes, that's correct. Um, Yeah, so I think Pacers fans are also like, man, we wasted a masterpiece. So we can commiserate about that, Pacers fans. All right. Fact or fiction? Wemby is the best player in the world.
Uh, Judging on his first game and Jokic's last game, I see how that might be trending that way. If he does have 40 points a game and 15 rebounds and 4 blocks, and the Spurs make a 1 or 2 seed, then I could see a serious discussion being had about that. But I'm still going to say fiction. I think the Spurs, I don't know where they're going to end up seeding wise. I don't think it's going to be number 1. And I think Wemby, while he is really dominant because of his size and his scoring, and I mean, maybe his true shooting will be at an insane number just with his jumper and things that I didn't imagine for this season that could really put an interesting argument together for him. I still think Jokic is just more complete in like the way he sees the game, and um, his assists are a real thing that Wemby doesn't really add to his game, and I really value that. It's part of why I don't put Shea as the best player in the world. But Wemby is scaring the shit out of me, and he needs to relax.
Wemby's on one right now. He was absolutely insane. I don't think the box score even really tells the story of it. You mentioned the 4 blocks, and I'm like, he deterred so many shots. I think there was a stat where the Mavs had only taken 26 attempts in the paint, and that was like bottom two. That would have been bottom 2 percentile last season in terms of paint shot attempts. It's also like the fewest that they've had in like the last 8 years of the franchise in a game in terms of just attempts in the paint. Um, the Mavs also, like, we're gonna talk about them, but my God, they are lacking in shot creation. They have like nothing going on the perimeter on that team besides D'Angelo Russell, who like
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, I think that the Mavs made Wemby's job a little bit easier on both ends, honestly, with the way that they were playing basketball. But Wemby is starting to become that guy where his offense is like, oh shit, we actually have to game plan for this.
Yeah,
Um,
which you would expect for someone that big.
yeah, but the
And
first 2 years were very like Wemby making the job of the defense easier with like his
right.
shot selection and like some of the
Mm-hmm.
process that was going on. But he's been very it's only been one game, and I actually didn't watch. I think I only watched like one half of the Spurs in preseason. So I was very much taken by surprise
Yeah.
by this game. So NBA
Yeah.
Twitter can, come at me if they want for being shocked at what I witnessed the other night. But yeah, he looks bigger. Not just like he's definitely bulked up. He looks taller. Like I saw him, he looks like half a foot taller than Lively right now, which is crazy.
Yeah. It was weird seeing him next to Lively and
Yeah.
AD. It was bizarre. He's crazy.
Also, AD like does not look to be in shape. right now.
Let's hope that's the case.
He's not moving well at all. I'm not even kidding you. I was texting one of the group chats during this game, and I think it was like the middle of the third quarter before I realized that AD wasn't Gafford. One,
the kind
because
of
like
headband
Wemby makes him look
glasses.
that small.
Right.
Two, because like he was not moving, the way that you expect Anthony Davis to move on the perimeter on either end of the floor, honestly. He looked both stiff and like, yeah, just kind of bumbling. And I remember I was watching the game and thinking like, man, and I'm not, the part of the reason I didn't do this is because I watched so many of these games on mute because I've got two on at once. So this one was on mute. So I didn't hear them saying like AD did this, AD did that. So I'm thinking Gafford, and I'm like, man, they're letting Gafford ISO Wemby a lot. So I thought the Mavs were even worse in their process than they actually were, even though it still wasn't good. But yeah, I was not impressed with the Mavs in that game. I will say, to your point though, on the best in the world question, gotta do it for at least 82 games, depending on like what your criteria is, regular season, playoffs, whatever. The grind is not a formality to this question. Like you gotta I wouldn't say anybody can have an incredible night. But Malachi Flynn has scored 50 points in an NBA game.
Yes.
And it is Wemby. Like, obviously, we know what Wemby can do. Not saying that, but you got to keep it up for the whole season. And, but yeah, like I was very impressed and terrified.
Yeah, I'm terrified. And I get that he's tall and could be injury prone, and I don't want that to happen to him. But that's a question too: is can his health last through a whole season, as well as just the consistency of his offensive aggression and touch and skill, which looked a lot better than we've seen before. But and people with the best in the world conversations, even with Jokic, were saying he needs to prove it in the playoffs before he can be considered best in the world.
Right.
So let's chill. Let's put that stupid standard to Wemby as well.
Well, you seem like someone who's really into hazing. You're just like, if I had to go through it, you're going to have to go through it too.
Yeah. Like, even if we could tell just in a vacuum by watching these players in the regular season who the best player is, this standard of like, got to do it on the biggest stage. Because like we all knew Jokic was the best player, and he had good playoff performances. Like his stats are amazing in the playoffs, but because we didn't go to the Western Conference Finals or didn't win a finals yet, people were still holding that over him. But whatever.
Snoozer just said, if you could bring that comment back up, got to finish the season with a winning record to even sniff best in the world. I was pretty low on the Spurs going into the season, like relative to like everybody else. I'm a bit higher on them now. I will reveal that when we get to our standings prediction. But I will say, even when I was low on them, I was like, a winning record was well within the range of what I thought they could do. Let's see here. Anything else you wanted to shout out from the game ones?
No, I mean, do you want to? I mean, you've said you think the Mavs suck, but you didn't ask it explicitly.
Do you think the Mavs suck?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, like the offense is a problem. And honestly, part of the problem with the defense on this team is they're all big. And they have a similar issue to some of the like otherwise, at least what you would think personnel wise, good defenders on the Denver Nuggets have, is they are not equipped to guard certain types of players or certain types of actions sometimes. And I just thought they looked really slow against the Spurs, who like didn't even have De'Aaron Fox playing in this game. So that's concerning, honestly, for a team that's going to be so on paper reliant on their defense to win games. Snoozer said Mav size is going to give teams some problems, but overall they're stickers. What does that mean? A sticker.
Like you can just walk over them? Stickers on the court or something? I don't know.
Oh, okay, sure.
But Vyacheslav also said, they're putting Coop in an awkward position, like putting him at point guard, and people aren't really loving that. And says it'll hurt them in the short term, maybe a good plan for the long term, which I think is interesting. Even with AD, like expectations for the season, I don't think it's title. So AD can come into the season maybe not looking his best. Coop's going to take time to. Oh, snoozer meant stinkers.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they develop Cooper Flag.
I will say, for the sake of intellectual honesty, I went and reread what I had on the Spurs in our Great Expectations episode a few weeks back. And I said that the team was probably going to tank because they would probably be in the 500 range, which is, what I said could happen. But a couple years ago, the Rockets were 500 and didn't even make the play-in. So I thought the Spurs, if they were like in that range, but like we're right on the cusp, they might just be like, let's just drop out. But based on what I'm seeing from Wemby, even if I think that's kind of, now that I've seen Wemby's like as himself, probably like the low end of like their realistic outcomes this season. If they're there, I think the Spurs will make the push because they are probably at a stage where they're like, okay, we want to try to make the play and we want to try to get Wemby in these high leverage situations and like see what he can do, what the team is missing, and start to like make our evaluations from there. So that expectation of like the Spurs would tank wasn't based on their potential. It was more based on the organizational philosophy. And I just wanted to make sure that I was like, did I make this Spurs F tier? I hope not. I did not. I had them D tier, which is just still tanking, but like right outside the play-in. But it was more because I thought they might be like on the cusp. Now I think they're probably going to be in there and maybe higher.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Although quickly to that point before we go on to these standings predictions is we had the Mavs a little low and we had the Lakers a little low. And I do recall, not that we get a ton of comments from those fan bases, but those were the only fan bases that had problems with our tier list. Was why are the Mavs low? Why are the Lakers low? And they're not having a great start to the season, as you see. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
I had the Lakers as C tier, which is probably that's the play-in tier in terms of expectations. And I had the Mavs. Where did I have the Mavs? I maybe had them too high. Did I just have nobody in F tier? You had the Mavs in A tier, which was conference final. I had the Mavs in the same tier as the Spurs. Yeah.
What the hell?
Unless maybe this is from the year before. I don't think so, though, because the year before they still had Luka at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, because you copied it from last year, but we didn't update it on the show notes.
But that wouldn't have made sense because they had Luka that year, so you wouldn't have had them.
Well, they went to the finals.
Oh wait, yeah, other way around. You're right.
Yeah.
That was yeah. Ignore that part. But mine were updated, by the way.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, mine are not updated. I'm pretty sure I had them as lower. We both did.
Yeah, I moved the Spurs too. I upgraded them to play-in tier this year, and they might be higher. We're gonna see. All right, let's move on to our Western Conference standings predictions because we honestly don't care about the East. Although I will say that conference feels a little bit more random than I thought it was. I think in the West, there are more like chunks of teams where you're like, these are the three teams that are within this range of seeds. And it's like, for like, you could say that through 15th. With the East, it's kind of like, I still don't know what's going on with this conference right now, outside of maybe like the top 4-ish, like 3.5 teams. So maybe we will do Eastern Conference standing predictions at some point, maybe next week.
That'll be so hard to do, but yeah.
I just want to like have something on paper because it'll be interesting to look back on it later.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our Western Conference standing predictions because that is the one that our favorite team is in. Well, if you could bring that up.
All right, let's go.
All right. How do you want to do? Do like yours and then mine, or mine and then yours, or do you want to go like alternate Like first, second, second.
Yeah, let's just alternate
Okay.
on each number.
All right. All right. My first team, I've got the Oklahoma City Thunder in first.
I also
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
I thought about it. Maybe if the Nuggets smoked the Warriors last night, I could have rethought that a little bit, but
I was never going to rethink that. The Thunder have just too much margin for error. I don't think that they played particularly well in their first two games. They went to overtime in both, but they forced so many goddamn turnovers. And they like defense is what wins you games in the regular season, and they just do that. Like,
and they
night.
have youth and like energy. And I know they're coming off a championship, so there's always the championship hangover.
But AJ Mitchell looks like Jalen Brunson, so
I know they just have so many guys to like. Someone's gonna step up and hit some goddamn three.
He could have been so good on the Nuggets. All right. I've got Denver still second. I'm not swayed by the first game. I think this team, like, especially on the rewatches, you're just like, a lot of this is mental stuff. They gotta clean this stuff up, and there's still so much to love about the process of the offense that you're like, okay, Jokic, be a top 5 player on the floor last night, and we win the game, kind of thing.
I know. Yeah, because there is a perspective that we kind of didn't play our best, and we were still right there. And the Warriors are looking still pretty good and dangerous. So when we have our complete game, and Cam hopefully lives up to how I envision him, Nuggets. I mean, I'm not giving up on the season. We can still win it all.
Oh no, the season's over. Will, didn't you hear? I will say, to the point of people who are doomers, the Denver Nuggets are the only Western Conference team that has made the playoffs since, like, every year since 2019. And I'm kind of like, oh God, maybe we're due. I don't actually think that, but that's just a little bit of fodder for the doomers out there. This team, we'll get to a point if 10 games in, it's like, okay, they're 5-5. Like, what are we doing here, guys?
That's when I'm going to start worrying about the roster, worrying about Adelman, and like, was he the right decision?
I think Adelman's gonna have some growing pains. There's stuff even with like the game plan that they went in with last night that was clearly the game plan, irrespective of like the execution mistakes that the players made, that you're kind of like, okay, like there's definitely some meat left on the bone here, and you kind of hope that they clean that up as the season goes on. But yeah, it was not the best showing from him in the first game. All right. Third, I have got the Golden State Warriors.
Whoa, me too.
Whoa. Okay. Actually, that's funny. I'm actually looking at the show notes right now, so I don't know why I was surprised. I just didn't read your call. But yeah, I think they've looked really good in their first two games. The Warriors are always a good defense. The only year they weren't in this like run, when healthy anyway, was 22-23. There was all kinds of drama going on behind the scenes that year for the Warriors, but they seem to have cleaned that up. They've got Draymond, they've got Jimmy, and they've got Steph, at the end of the day. And I just think that, a lot of people had like the Clippers in this range, but I think that the Warriors are slightly less dependent on player health, which is kind of crazy to say because the Clippers have more depth. But when I say dependent, I think that's more like, okay, if Steph misses time, he might miss a couple weeks. If Kawhi misses time, he could miss like the rest of the season. You know what I mean? So the risk, I think, is greater there. But I think as long as this team keeps playing defense, like they're just a better offense this year with Jimmy and Al, So that's annoying. But here we are.
It was a tough one. I think I might know who your fourth seed might be. I was debating putting them in this spot, but after seeing the Warriors last night and Steph being Steph, that ability is just so valuable, and they looked great. Like they looked organized on defense. I like Jimmy Butler with them, and it made it harder to guard them. And Draymond still looks like he's locked in on defense for the most part. I mean, he did have some mistakes, but it wasn't anything egregious. So yeah, I could see them being tough.
Yeah.
For sure.
And honestly, like, I think their floor is higher this year too. Like, I don't think that this team is going to be a play-in team. Because last year you could have easily, like, because of just how close the standings were, you could have easily seen them getting like the 2 seed even, because they were only 2.5 games off of the 2 seed last year. But they ended up in the play-in. I don't think that they can be a play-in team, because I think there's a gap now between them and like the teams I see in that like 6 to 9 range. But yeah, my 4 seed is LA Clippers. Like, they were the team that I would have had in the 3rd seed now, but I just think the Warriors are more consistently serious, especially defensively. And that's my thing, is like, defense wins you games in the regular season. The Clippers, I think, are going to be a bit worse defensively this season than last, because of how little Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. are going to play in the lineup, just because of the new personnel that they added. But they have more ways to win because of the offense, but so far that hasn't, taken hold, as we saw in the game against the Jazz. So yeah, I just think I think that there might be like a gap, and I wouldn't be surprised if they finished above the Warriors, but I think that they're going to be, in that race too. I will say that Denver is lucky that the teams that are kind of in the same kind of tier as them in terms of like favorites for home court, range of seeding are older, because I think that Denver could very easily, fall behind these 2 teams if they were like older, or took like long stretches of the season less seriously than they should.
Okay, so I have the Rockets 4th instead of the Clippers, and the Rockets were the team that I was debating for the 3rd seed. The chat is very upset that we do not have the Rockets higher.
Red and Whites, it's not about fading the Rockets. It's that these other teams look better than I thought, and the Rockets need a point guard.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is Reed Shepherd looks small and like he sucks at defense, and they don't have Fred VanVleet. I think the offense, while Şengün hit a bunch of threes too. Like, people are like, "Oh, AG hit all these threes. They're lucky." Like, he hit a ton of threes as well.
Yeah, he had like 5 made threes in that game.
Yeah,
they were all regulation.
So yeah, the Rockets, I still think they're going to be high, but I'm not as high on them after Fred VanVleet went out. And yeah, KD, he's old. Like, I don't know, he could be injured, and you can make that argument with anyone, and even the Warriors, who are also old. But
yeah, and KD doesn't look great to start the season. Like, he's showing his age early. He looked like Jokic out there. Yeah, obviously Jokic had a better game, but it's like, relative to what you'd expect from them, they both look like,
Yeah.
Nibble, I get that, and it was versus Dort and all this, but like, KD couldn't even get separation off the ball, and you should be able to do that against Lou Dort.
And they almost lost to the Pacers again without Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, did they play again yesterday?
OKC.
Oh, the Thunder did. Yeah. I think the Thunder are more vulnerable than people think. Like, OKC also shot like complete crap in that game too. And like, yeah, you got like, both teams had things that they could say coming out of that game, And I just didn't love Houston's offensive process. And there were times where it's crazy, because Şengün, I think, had 39 in that game, and I thought he should have gotten the ball more than he did, but people weren't able to get it to him. There's stuff that Houston's still going to have to work out, and that's really the thing here, is margin. And maybe Houston finishes in this top 4, in this top 3, range, but I think it's going to be on the back of some hellacious defense if they do. The thing is, last year they were also really good about
coming to this season.
What did you see about us last night that makes us better than the Rockets in the regular season? Oh, we have an offense. Nibble.
Maybe the best offense.
Yeah.
Once Jokic obviously
plays like himself. And I think the Rockets are going to be a really good defense. It's going to win them a lot of games. The thing with this is, like, it's more about like the number of games I expect these teams to win in like the range of things. And I think after seeing the Rockets, even in game 1, like, I was impressed with them. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to be better than I thought they were, even without Fred. But it also, like, brought forth some glaring issues with what they're going to face without Fred. That was like, oh yeah, that reconfirmed that I thought that they were going to be in the low 50s range for games 1. Whereas I think ceiling wise, and maybe these teams don't achieve it because of age, injuries, whatever. The Nuggets, Clippers, and Warriors all have the ability to win high 50s number of games. I don't think that the Rockets have the ability to win a high 50s number of games.
Mm-hmm. Just coming into this season, it was clear that the Nuggets were going to be better than the Rockets, even though the Rockets are, a contender. They got KD and stuff, but like, I don't know, like one game, even though, yeah, I think the Warriors look a lot better than I thought. The Rockets didn't look as good as I thought, and I already thought the Nuggets were going to win the championship. So yeah, I'm not putting the Rockets over the Nuggets. Anyway,
all right, let's see. So you had the Rockets here. I've got the Rockets in 5th. So right under the Clippers. And again, like I just think this is going to be a crazy year for the West. Like in 2024, we had 3 teams. We had the Thunder, Wolves, and Nuggets all winning over 55 games. You had the Clippers winning 50. I think the Clippers and the Mavs both won 50 games, but the Clippers had the tiebreaker. It was either that or the Clippers had won one more game, but the top 5 seeds had all won 50 plus games. So I just think it's going to be like that again this year. And it's really about like high 50s or low 50s, a game here, a game there kind of thing. And I think the Rockets are going to struggle, especially late in games. And I think that's going to be the difference for them versus the Warriors, Clippers, and Nuggets.
Yeah. Okay. So Rockets, I have Wolves.
Okay.
This is a hard one.
Yeah, this is the range where it starts getting messy because you have the teams that are in the 5 or 6 to 9 range are like, I could see this team looking really good. I could also see them looking like crap in a lot of situations. It's more about like how many games do they lose versus how many games do they win. You know what I mean? Than how many games they win, which is what I was looking at for like the first, 4 or 5. I have the Wolves a bit lower. They did have an impressive late game against the Blazers, but they were also down to the Blazers for most of that game. I do have Minnesota in 6th. This was a tough one for me, too. And I was thinking about the team that you ended up having in 6th here, surprisingly, which is...
Gosh, I put the Spurs.
You did. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised anymore. I talked about how I had them kind of in the play-in range, and depending on like what point in the year it was and like where they fell, like would they try to tank and like get a good pick. I don't think they're going to do that anymore. I think if they're within range, they're going to like within striking distance, they're going to go for it. And like Wemby looks really freaking good. Really good.
I mean, I know the NBA is maybe it's different from like when LeBron just came into the league with the shitty Cavs and like made them way better because he was like
didn't make the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah.
When he first got there.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. But
I'm just saying,
adding one player to your team who's that good can, really change your outlook. And I know it's taken a couple years for Wemby to get there, but he looks unstoppable to me, and I feel like that alone will just put them in the playoffs. Like he looks so good. I don't know. It's crazy.
Wait, Will, you still don't have the Clippers?
Not yet.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I've got the Spurs next.
Okay.
I've already, explained that. Wemby looks amazing. If he continues on this trajectory, like that team's going to be good enough to make the playoffs for sure. How many games what's the like high end of the number of games you think the Spurs can win? For reference, obviously 50 games is like a high watermark, like for any team to win, especially in the Western Conference. But the Kings, when they were the 3rd seed a couple years ago, won. I don't think this is going to be enough to be the 3rd seed this season, just to be clear, but I think it was 48 games under Mike Brown in that first season when they made the playoffs. So that's like, and they had the most efficient offense of all time when they did that, by the way. So with the Spurs to win that many games, I think you'd have to be like, whoa, elite on one side of the ball or the other. Because the Kings were not good on defense at all. But that's like to win, like, I think a high 40s number of games when you're not like a balanced team, you have to be like uber good at one side of the ball or the other. And as good as I think Wemby is defensively, do you think the Spurs are going to be like a top 1 or 2 defense kind of thing?
Where were they last year?
I think they were 12th. Obviously, Wemby misses half the season with the
blood clot or whatever.
I will say, when I remember looking at the on-offs, with him on the floor, they had like the equivalent of like a top 10 offense. But they weren't a top 10. They wasn't like, top 5 or top 2. Obviously, he's gotten better this year. He's even bigger, like all of this stuff. So take all of that into account.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Castle's going to be getting better, right? So
he can't get worse.
Yeah, it's just like another season for him. And Wemby is looking goddamn incredible. They got Cornette.
They got Harper.
So it's like, I just think they're going to be a lot better on both sides and stabilize into a place.
Do you think they're actually going to be more balanced than like I expect? Because I don't necessarily expect the Spurs team to be like a good offense.
I hope so. I mean, it's still hard because this is like one game, and like I'm taking my impressions of them last season versus what I've just seen in these first couple games, and this is like a very early, possibly overreactions ranking, but here we are. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think probably you have the Clippers over the Spurs, and obviously I don't, which I don't think I'm going to be right about, but I'm just going with it for now.
Yeah, that's pretty low. You've got them in play-in range. So I think they'll be like you've got them like right there, like playing down to like basically the last game of the season to try to see where they are, because that's what these teams are going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next team I've got is the Portland Trail Blazers.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was very impressed with them in their loss against the Wolves. Honestly, I think they're going to be a really good defense. Problem is like Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant on offense, and Scoot Henderson's been out, and I don't know how long he's supposed to be out. I think it's a hamstring. Scoot Henderson injury. I can't remember because he's just had so many over the first couple of years of his career here. She's going to be out for a month. So that's a lot. It's crazy. It's like, why are the Blazers so dependent on Scoot Henderson for their offense? It's like, well, because they traded away Anthony Simons. But their defense is going to be really good. And you know how I feel about defense, right? Like, they've got the personnel. They've got Klingon. They've got Tumani Kamara. They've got Drew Holiday. Even Jeremy Grant sometimes, plays defense. So Denny Avdia as well. I think that team's going to be a really good defense. They've got we didn't even talk about this in our news segment, but they've got the whole scandal with their head coach happening right now. So I don't know how that's going to affect things, but Tiago Splitter is their interim, and maybe he does a good job. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe the whole thing falls apart. But based on like what I was thinking this team would be to start the season and what I've seen, I'm going to go with Portland here.
This is the part where I have no idea anymore. I feel like I could put in any team that besides like the Suns and Jazz and teams like that, I'm not going to put up in the playoffs position right now, but I'm going to go with the Blazers as well. Just because they're an exciting team. And like you said, I think it's smart to be higher on them. And I was, impressed. Like, that game was really close, and it took some ant heroics.
Yeah. And some, Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday anti-heroics.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the Chauncey news.
Yeah.
Could that be a destination for Mike Malone, as Mad Dog says?
I mean,
That'd be
who knows?
interesting.
Potentially. I don't know if they want to be paying 2 coaches at once though for a team that's like
Mm-hmm.
not even
Mm-hmm.
hasn't even made the play-in before. Um, we'll see. I think it'll depend on like where the investigation goes. All right, let's move on. I've got the Lakers next at 9th.
Yeah, me too.
They looked absolutely. I haven't watched every team. I haven't watched every single game from night one. I've been box score watching for like half the league. But of the teams I've watched, the Lakers have looked the worst. Which is saying something, because it's not like I've only watched the good teams. They just
That's so
look
funny.
totally lifeless. They look completely aimless. They look like the Nuggets on defense, and then like they look like Luka looks, good. He's
Yeah.
skinny, he's doing the things, and the defense is still like whatever with him, but he's trying and he's scoring efficiently and doing all of this stuff. But like the Lakers team offense looks an absolute mess, and JJ Redick is probably going to get an aneurysm this year. I actually have no idea. Marcus
Mhm.
Smart looks like washed Lou Dort out there, like he's only flopping. It's like if you like weren't good at defense and all you did was flop defensively, and that's like what Marcus Smart does these days. And Ayton is like the worst version of DeAndre Ayton that you've seen. They
Mhm.
looked really bad. And obviously that also means like the only way to go is up. But I am going to I'm going to try to stop making the mistake of overestimating the Los Angeles Lakers like I have for the past like 2 years.
Mhm.
They're a play-in team. Like that's what they are. And it's kind of incredible that they made the playoffs outright last year. And I knew this. I was like, this team is overperforming their point differential. All of the analytics say this team is not that good. And then they get to the playoffs and they get smacked by a lower seed in the Minnesota Timberwolves, a lower seed because that team was severely underperforming their point differential. They have their own problems. And, they bring back the same group, kind of. They lose Dorian Finney-Smith for nothing. They basically used three second round picks to salary dump D'Angelo Russell because they didn't retain Dorian Finney-Smith. And yeah, they look a hot mess. So I'm pretty low on the Lakers. The reason I have them this high is the talent. They've got Luka. Like otherwise,
Yeah.
I mean the top end talent. Otherwise, I would have this team a couple pegs lower if not for him.
Yeah, adding to it, LeBron has sciatica, so
Yeah,
he's going to be out.
for a while.
That's going to affect things, and he also looks pretty pissed. I don't know if he's just sad that he's not playing, or if he actually has legit issues with the Lakers. I mean, I would imagine he would, but yeah, this is going to be an entertaining dumpster fire, in my opinion. I know they got new ownership in there. I think the Lakers are going to finish low in the standings, and Rob Pelinka is going to be on the chopping block. And something's going to happen with LeBron, whether he asks for a trade or he just finishes out the season. I have no idea. But yeah, I just think they're not in a good spot. The team is not designed to succeed around Luka yet. And that's going to take time to get the defenders to put around him. And they haven't done it yet. So I felt like the Lakers were not going to be that good coming to the season. I know Lakers fans thought they were. But I'm here to say, yeah, they're not looking great.
Yeah. All right. So we both got the Lakers.
Man, this one is so hard.
All right. Yeah, I've got the Dallas Mavericks here. I thought they looked absolutely terrible against the San Antonio Spurs. And as much as I'm higher on the Spurs now than I was like a month ago, I'm not thinking about them as like a top 3 seed or like one of the best defenses of all time as currently constructed. Maybe, one day they get there, especially if Wemby continues on this trajectory. But the Mavs looked terrible in that game, honestly, on both ends. And we talked about some of the issues that they're going to have on defense with their personnel. But yeah, if you're a team that's so reliant on that one end of the floor to get you wins because you don't have any perimeter shot creation outside of D'Angelo Russell, you have to be really buttoned up on that end. And I don't think they were. And not just buttoned up, but like aggressive. And I just don't think that they were. And I worry about that team's morale, honestly, especially after like half the team that was there last year is still there. Those guys were really close with Luka. And I worry that like if the season starts to take a bad turn, like it could get ugly really fast. To the point where the organization just decides to shut a bunch of people down and just let Cooper like kind of cook and develop for a
Yeah.
year. So
It might be smart.
I just see like a lot of volatile potential there. And honestly, I'd have them lower if anybody below them looked even like slightly okay.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, like I think the Mavs are going to be bad, but I can't disrespect them too much to put them in play or out of the play-in. But yeah, they did
I also
not
don't
look great.
know if
Worse
like
than I thought.
if they're bad, I don't think Kyrie's gonna come back to like try to like push a play-in team.
No, Kyrie's just he's not coming back, is my opinion. Yeah, that would be crazy. But yeah, they looked horrible in that first game. They can still make the play-in, but I could see them like kind of like you're saying, letting Cooper Flag cook and just get a lot of reps and then playing themselves out into the lottery and trying to get even better picks to put around Flag, you know? So they could self-sabotage themselves. They've done it before. Even when Luka was on the team.
Yes. That is the MO of this organization, in fact. Yes. Okay, let's see here. I've got the Phoenix Suns next.
Oh man.
Okay, so I was very much debating between the Suns and the Grizzlies here, but the Suns, instead of losing to the Kings by 20 points like they were at halftime, decided to come back and win that game. And then the Memphis Grizzlies decided to get more injured, even though they won their game against the Pelicans. And so I went with Phoenix here. I think Booker looks really good. They're going to be able to generate offense. It's really a matter of like, they're going to be an okay offense. It's really like, I don't know how far this defensive personnel gets them, and that's why they're down here. I don't think this team makes the play-in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had Grizzlies here. I almost had them 10th. I almost had them 9th. I mean, Ja, I think he looks pretty good. He had a good game. They have injuries though. They have like no centers, and I think the two centers that played in that game against the Pelicans fouled out. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, I still like them. And they lost Bane, so they're going to take a step back for sure. But now that Ja's back, and if he has a consistent season, I don't see them like at the bottom of the standings. So
yeah. Okay, let's see. Memphis for you. All right, I've got Memphis next, and pretty much the same thing that you said. But they're just kind of there, and I said why I have them below Phoenix. Like the injuries are really like the thing with this team. This team would definitely be within play-in range for me if they weren't so injured and so cursed. Frankly, like I wouldn't be surprised if more injuries happen throughout the season. And I just don't think they have the ability to withstand those clusters of injuries around like key positions. Like their entire front court is basically decimated right now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I put the Pelicans in 12th. Gonna trust in Zion. Gonna trust in Zion looking pretty good, and get them to a very respectable 12th seed.
I think the Pelicans have the ability to get like the 10th seed, but
maybe
I don't think they will curious. For the same reason. Like they're like the Grizzlies. I'm just like, I don't know if you're gonna be alive.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah. So you've got the Pelicans. All right, then I've got the Pelicans next at 13th. But yeah, that's just where I think I just think they're more cursed than the Grizzlies. I don't know what's going on in the water there.
I'm excited for Zion to have a pretty like consistent season. He looks like in very good shape, probably the best shape he's ever been in the NBA. So I think that'll count for something. I'm not high on them either. They're not gonna
think
win a
there's
ton of
something
games.
about like these teams are too far east. They should just be in the Eastern Conference, but I want them to stay in the West so that we have some teams to be send Minnesota to the Eastern Conference.
I put the Kings in
Yeah.
13th because they still have Zach LaVine and now Russell Westbrook and Sabonis, and I'm like, I know that they're the Kings, but I can't see them being last. That was like my debate. All these teams from here on out is like, who is going to be
can you see
the
being
bottom
last?
team?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't see the Kings being the bottom. I don't know.
I didn't think I could see that either until I watched the Suns go on that run against them to come back and win that game. I think that the Kings are a very volatile mixture of players. They don't have forwards. They have a weird point guard situation going on right now. I don't love the vibes, honestly.
Oh, no, definitely not.
DeRozan kind of makes everybody worse. Keegan Murray, like, is about to be the second highest or third highest paid player on the team. And I don't like, and he like never touches the ball. It's like a lot of weird stuff going on over there. So I don't think their floor is as high as yours as you do. But I've actually got the Utah Jazz next.
In 14?
Yeah. I think they're probably tired of losing so much. And they're kind of like, we don't have to be like the literal worst team ever, like we were last year. We just need to be bottom, 2 in the conference and make sure we're like bottom 4 in the league to be in that lotto running. So I think they're going to be slightly better this year.
So who puts that? Who
and
is
they've
in your
got
last
a lot
spot?
of like good young talent that is finally like maybe not going to be complete and total hot garbage fire because they're rookies that don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying?
Who's in your bottom spot then?
The Kings.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. I am going to put the Jazz in 14.
Okay.
Making the Suns the last place team.
Honestly, like any of
I
these
know they
teams
have
could
Devin
completely
Booker.
shut it down at the end of the season. But that's the thing with the Suns for me is Booker. As long as he's healthy, like I don't see them finishing last.
It could, yeah. That's the question for sure. I don't know. Yeah, the Suns could surprise.
What is the best NBA roster to finish last, like Western Conference over the last few years? Like, what's the best team to finish absolute last place?
I think the answer to that is going to be the team that finishes last this season because I feel like the last place teams the last couple of years have been really bad.
Yeah.
It is just so hard. I think
it was
between
the Jazz last year. The year before that, was it also the Jazz? It was the Blazers, which I predicted.
This year is going to be really, I have no idea who's going to be the bottom team. I think it's going to take like a special degree of tanking, intentional tanking for sure to get there. Because I feel like enough of these teams have a little bit to win some games and not just end up in the bottom. But
oh my God, that team was so bad. The 22 Rockets. Jesus. And the 21 Rockets.
Yeah.
Oh, the Warriors in 2020. It's probably the answer, but they were decimated by injuries.
Yeah, that was a fluky year.
The Suns in 2019 finished last.
And then they went to the bubble and started looking good, and that started the bright future Suns.
Sunshine.
And they're going to return to their coveted spot at the bottom.
As
so there
much
you go,
as
Chad.
I would like it for my narratives. Man, the Suns were just dead last for like 3 years in a row.
With Devin Booker.
Yeah,
he was younger, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Makes sense. But there you have it, our Western Conference standings. I've got OKC, Denver, Golden State, the Clippers, the Rockets, the Wolves, the Spurs, the Blazers, the Lakers, the Mavs, then the Suns, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Jazz, and Kings. Will, if you want to read yours off.
I got OKC, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Minnesota, San Antonio, LA, Clippers, Blazers, LA Lakers, Dallas, Memphis, New Orleans, Sacramento, Utah, and Phoenix. It is, the bottom's going to be really hard to predict.
Vyacheslav asks, which team 9 through 15 could surprise? Honestly, the Pelicans for me.
Yeah, I think any of those teams could surprise me. I mean, maybe the Jazz. They already surprised me once in their first game.
That's true. That's true. Well, if you have made it this far in the stream, we really appreciate you guys. If you like our content, please remember to click the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as hit the notification bell. Please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, etc. Follow us on socials. All our links are in the description. And always remember, winning is fun and losing sucks, especially losing the season opener.
Horrible.